I feel like I need a break. We don't do breaks in the show, so let's advance
Hell
into...
no, we just barrel on through.
We steamroll on. AEW Dynamite, also March 4th, 2020. We have a recap of Revolution. I know this is a low bar to clear, but I've been watching these pay-per-view recaps on Retro Nitro. This thing was like 30 seconds long. They made it clear. Jake Hager beat Dustin Rhodes. Darby Allin beat Sammy Guevara. Hangman Page and Kenny Omega retained their tag belts. Nyla Rose retained her belt. MJF beat Cody. Pac beat Orange Cassidy. Moxley beat Jericho's title. Here's a short clip of Moxley's promo afterwards. Great!
Fine with me.
Fucking great! It's not that hard. Although it did remind me, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. They did the show in Atlanta with the cage match, where Cody cut the great promo after the show went off the air. I said, reviewing that show, they need to put that promo on the air, and they never did. So that's a strike against them for last week or the week before, whichever you want to say it.
Well, the reality is they got a lot of stuff that, everything from fucking Marco Stunt on that fucking cruise doing his concert. I mean, there's so much shit that it's like, dude, if you would have aired 90 seconds of Marco's concert on that boat, I mean, he'd be so fucking over. But they didn't. And there's been stuff on Dark, and there's been stuff off the air, and they just make the decision not to air it. And I think they should air it, but I'd be a lot more angry if they had no stars and they weren't airing that. But the fact of the matter is, they are still getting everybody over without airing it. So I can't get that mad about it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So Moxley comes out for a promo. As he's making his entrance, which took a long time, of course, the announcers are promising a look back at one of the best tag team bouts they've ever called. So Moxley cuts a promo. He puts over pro wrestling, the sport he loves, puts over all the fans. This belt doesn't belong to me. It didn't belong to Chris Jericho. It belongs to all of you. I'm so happy to be at a place at AEW that brought pro wrestling back. I will climb a mountain to defend this belt. No man in AEW has what it takes to take it from me. Challenges anyone to come fight him. He knows it's not over between him and the inner circle. He dares them to come out, and they oblige. So the inner circle all comes out. They're playing Jericho's song. The crowd's singing along. Usually there's like a whole entrance they do. So it takes the length of the song up to the chorus just to get in the ring. They come out on stage, and they just stop and stand there for a minute as the crowd sings. All I could think was, if there was one time to be the ultimate heel and have the music cut off so the fans can't sing along, this would have been the one time. He lets them finish. And then Jericho says he does not need the belt to be the champion. Says this is the John Moxley era. The John Moxley era sucks ass, he says. The crowd responds.
Few men love to say the word ass more than Chris Jericho.
I think it's a thing in pro wrestling.
I think it might be.
Every once in a while, you find a guy who says ass for the first time, something they can't stop. So the crowd disagrees. They chant, "You suck ass." And then Jericho has just the best line. Your championship reign is based on a lie. You're a cheater. You're a liar. I trained for that match to face a man with one eye, and you can see out of both. That makes you a snake oil salesman, a Pharisee, and a liar. And all of you are liars, too. He's just on fire in this promo.
I loved when he says, "You suck ass." And then the fans chant, "You suck ass." And I didn't write down what he said, but it was something like, "You're disgusting fans."
All your classy fans here in
your classy
Broomfield.
Fans. He's disgusted that they would chant, "You suck ass." Even though
5 seconds
he
earlier,
just said, "You suck ass."
Yes. He's the best hypocrite. He may be the best hypocrite I've ever seen.
This is his greatest character, I think.
Oh, there's no doubt. I talked about it like a month in AEW, I think, or at least a month in a Dynamite. I said this AEW Chris Jericho may be the best Chris Jericho. I'm now 100% convinced of that.
Well, fuck. Look at the Observer Awards. How many awards did he win? 5?
Well, he won the biggest one.
I think
Wrestler of the Year.
Let me see if I've got a list here of all of these fucking awards this guy won. Wrestler of the Year, Interview of the Year, U.S. Canada MVP, Most Charismatic, and Biggest Box Office Draw. 5 fucking awards this year.
And Dynamite won Best Show.
Yes.
And he's a big part of that.
His stuff that he did with Shawn Michaels was awesome.
Yeah.
And he's had, I mean, the stuff with Owens in the list, and I mean, you can go on and on and on, but this is the very best. This year is the best that he's ever been because he had great matches in different companies. His promos are fucking great.
Yes.
His character is awesome.
Yes.
He's
getting...
I can't say he carried AEW, but like he was in a lot of ways the heart and soul of this company.
Oh, for sure.
So,
and that's the real key. There's a lot of guys who have had great matches and great promos and gotten themselves over. Jericho had great matches and great promos and everything and got an entire company over.
Yes.
To an audience who had never seen most of these guys before.
And every other period during his career, he was never pushed as the guy.
Not once.
Not one single solitary time. And now he finally gets the opportunity to actually be pushed as the guy, and he fucking wins 5 awards.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what does that tell you, by the way?
Well.
And how did he win all those 5 awards, by the way? By doing the most old school, and I mean this, by the way, in the best way possible, old school bullshit pro wrestling. That's what he's been doing.
Absolutely.
And it's fucking working in 2020.
Yeah. So, the Inner Circle used to be a bunch of well-behaved, good-looking young men, but now, because of Jon Moxley, they've turned into a damn hit squad. They're putting the entire AEW roster on notice. Nobody is safe, from the Librarian to Michael Nakazawa to Jon Moxley. We're going to hurt some people, starting with you. And then Jericho promises, Jon Moxley, you will not walk out of this main event on your own 2 feet. If you walk out tonight, I will take a leave of absence for 30 days. In fact, I will take a leave of absence for 60 days.
No!
Now, for those of you not aware, between Revolution and Dynamite, Fozzy announced a tour. They're going to be on tour in April and May. So the crowd figures this out. And when Jericho threatens a 60-day leave of absence, the same people who had been singing along to Judas now began to chant that Fozzy sucks. Pro wrestling is awesome. Jericho says, I've always got a plan. You're not as smart as you think you are. Moxley vows basically just to beat him and send him packing for 60 days, and that's that. This was a great segment. A tremendous segment. Tonight, Pac versus Chuck Taylor. Big Swole versus Leva Bates. Jake Hager versus QT Marshall. And in the main event, Jon Moxley and Darby Allin versus Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. And up next, The Dark Order versus SCU and the man making his Dynamite debut, Colt Cabana.
Yes.
First of all, well played, Colt Cabana. For like a decade ago or more, he got a theme song made, and it's his song. And he can take it to any promotion he works for and immediately get over. Smart man. So they're doing this match. The match is basically, it's every 8-man tag you ever saw. Heat on one guy, hot tag, come back, big stuff. Colt Cabana looked very good. Should add that. He looked just fine here in his Dynamite debut. But somewhere in this match, the announcers on commentary, I could have sworn one of them said the Dark Order are now the top contenders for the tag titles.
That's what they said.
When? When did this happen?
Well, I mean...
What happened? There was a battle royal. They didn't win. I don't think they did terribly well.
Well, no, but I mean, the Young Bucks won, but then they lost.
Well,
they fall down the rankings.
I'm fine with the Young Bucks not being.
They must have been the number 2 contenders.
I don't remember them winning a match. So they've done a horrible job of getting the Dark Order over as a credible tag team threat.
Maybe you don't pay attention. I'm going to find out the information here.
All right.
Because they post...
They do rankings every week.
Yes.
Just look for me the last 2 or 3 matches the Dark Order have had. So there was a great 8-man spot here where there's 8 guys in the ring brawling. They all pair off. And in each pair, one guy throws the guy he's fighting, turns and throws him out of the ring. So then there's 4 guys left. Evil Uno is one of those 4 men, but then he turns around and realizes he is now alone in the ring against all 3 members of SCU. That was awesome.
Okay, so Vinny, you clearly have not been paying attention.
Okay.
So in the tag team division, the champions are Kenny Omega and Hangman Page,
yes,
who are 6-0 in 2020. The Dark Order in 2020 are 5-0.
Well, I had no idea.
Yes, the Young Bucks 2-2.
How many of those matches have been on Dynamite?
SCU 2 and 3, Best Friends 3 and 2, Private Party 1 and 0.
Now, is this by Dark Order? Is that Evil Uno and Stu Grayson?
I believe yes.
Okay, so they're the ones who theoretically are getting the title shot next.
That's the way it looks. Yeah.
Oh, they lost here. At least the Dark Order did. Let's look up. Evil Uno is not on that one.
Who cares, Vinny? You think they're lying? It's 5 and 0.
I just want to know where these matches are.
Probably on Dark.
Probably on Dark.
Dark, pay-per-view. Yeah.
All right. Cold pins one of the random orderers with the Chicago skyline and the Superman pin. It's a fun opener.
I can't help but notice that they've got all of the Dark Order out there working this match. And Alex Reynolds is out there. And who's the other guy? Alex Reynolds.
I don't even know.
And,
Silver something.
Yeah, Long John Silver.
Yes.
So
Great lobster.
they're out there in masks being identified by their names.
Yes. Yes, Brian. I see your point.
So my point actually is that at some point, it ain't going to be soon, one of those guys is unmasking and it's going to be a babyface.
I see.
And it just has to. There's no other reason. We know who they are.
Yes.
We know what they look like.
Yeah.
You're telling us who they are, their names, but they're wearing masks.
All right, here's their...
Why isn't Stu Grayson wearing a mask?
That's a great question.
And why is Evil Uno's mask look like Shark Boy? Shouldn't he look like a creeper? A big fat creeper? I mean that in the nice way possible.
So, here are... It was 5-0, you said?
Yes.
Okay, I found the 5 wins.
Okay, see?
They beat Brandon Cutler and Sonny Kiss on Dark.
Okay, well, that's a win.
They did beat the Jurassic Express, but also on Dark. And it was Jungle Boy and Marco, no Luchasaurus. They beat the Strong Hearts on Dark.
Okay.
They beat Michael Nakazawa and Peter Avalon on Dark.
Okay.
They beat SCU, but it was on the Revolution pre-show. So no, Brian, I haven't seen them win a match this year.
I didn't ask if you saw it. I said pay attention.
Pay attention to what? I can't see them.
The front page where we got the rankings. Yes, they probably should have won a match on television.
Thank you.
I was caught off guard as well. But Jesus, at least it's legitimate. At least they don't make shit up.
I don't know if it's legitimate if they're winning matches on the B show. They can't even get on the A
win's
show.
a win. It's not about getting on the A show.
They beat Peter Avalon, man. Wow.
Well, yeah. He used to be in PWG.
The whole roster used to be on PWG.
Go, would you just keep moving? We don't got all night here.
So Evil Uno
Quit
cuts
doubting
a
the
promo.
fucking evil, the order. The order of darkness.
Evil Uno says this is not the way this was supposed to go. I'll bet. Says the Exalted One will be furious, and when he arrives, heads will roll.
Maybe he's an executioner.
Young Bucks versus Omega and Page highlight video with quotes from all the relevant wrestling media. Yourself, Wade Keller, Dave Meltzer. I was totally fine with not being included below those men, but some guy from Sports Illustrated made it. And at this point, if you're writing for Sports Illustrated, you are just some guy.
Oh, wow.
So, but regardless, they all agreed it was the best. The announcers, Ross, Schiavone, and Excalibur, they all agree it was the best Young Bucks match they'd ever seen and the best tag team match they've ever seen.
Hey, listen, I want to apologize to humanity because I was expecting that there was going to be a lot more blowback of Dave and I being quoted. But in fact, apparently, most people realize that in every other last single form of entertainment, bar none, journalists get quoted.
Yeah. It happened. It happens. Britt Baker joins the commentary team for Big Swole versus Leva Bates. This was not as good as the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. So the Librarians don't even get an introduction. Let's start over. The Librarians, maybe this is why I wasn't quoted. They can't understand anything
Vinny,
I say.
Jesus Christ, you're falling. Take a break. This match was very bad.
Yes.
It went 1 minute.
Yes.
I swear to God this happens. Peter Avalon takes a referee. Leva Bates hits Swole with her book, which appears to be a paperback, I might add. Bad plan. At least get a hard copy. So she whacks her with the book, and then she stands there.
Yeah.
And she stands there. And Swole, who got hit with the book, turns around, and they look at each other. And then, Leva starts to run. And then Swole chases her. But it's not like it was a spot. It was like they both totally forgot what was next in a 1-minute match.
Yeah.
And then Swole hit her move and won.
I just realized it was the exact same thing as the chokeslam off the cage, except I think everything there went right. But one person hit a move and then stood there until the other person went on offense.
Yes.
So Big Swole won. This could have gone better.
That's safe to say. Thank you, Vinny.
We had an MJF Cody hype video recap video. Hysterically tragic music for this, like a funeral. They did show Cody booting Arn in the face, and then Cody comes out for a promo, and he notes that you work hard in this business to get on pay-per-view because that's guaranteed money. And then once you're on pay-per-view, you work even harder to get the winner's share of the purse. And he didn't get that. So this feud with MJF has started off personal, and now it's professional. The only way he's going to get over the lashes, the loss, the whole thing, he needs MJF to come out and look him in the eye and say he won fair and square. He does not get MJF. He gets, and I still can't believe I'm saying this, Jake the Snake Roberts.
Sure did.
I don't know the last time. Did anyone look up the last time Jake was in a ring on a major show? It's probably been 20 years.
No, I feel like it was somewhat recently.
He, on a major show? Yeah, he may have been like a Raw reunion or something. But he's rubbing his hands on the ropes and smelling them, and smelling the turnbuckles. He just can't believe he's back in a wrestling ring. And eventually he's able to collect his thoughts and speak, and he says he is tired of listening to Cody whine and bitch. I never cried about one match in my career, he says. You're out here whining. That man whipped you like a dog. You got your ass kicked. Now, I am not here to praise you, mighty Caesar. I am here to slay you. I have a client, and that client's going to rise like a phoenix from the ashes. It took me 20 years to get clean. And at this point, the crowd gives me a huge ovation because it's awesome. I've earned my right to be back in this ring. I am not here to play nice. I will be outside of the ring when my client faces you. You can bring that one-trick pony Arn Anderson if you want. And the crowd much like that line. He calls him Caesar repeatedly. And says, I am not in AEW to take the whole pie, just your share. A wise man once told me, never ever turn your back on somebody you respect or you're afraid of. He promptly turns his back on Cody and walks out of the ring. So this was awesome. And as someone noted, he kept calling Cody Caesar, and the Ides of March are coming. This ruled.
Jake's great.
Jake is unbelievable.
Yeah, imagine that.
Take notes, all.
So clearly, I mean, as I talked about yesterday, I mean, Cody mentioned MJF. Later, MJF mentions Cody, but there's no fucking rush.
No.
There's no hot-shotting this.
No.
They're clearly going another direction for a while. Cody's going to have to deal with whoever this guy is that Jake's bringing in. Mm-hmm. And then eventually he'll get back to MJF. It's going to be a blood feud that's going to span years.
It probably will.
Great.
Yes. They could. One of my most unfavorite things about WWE booking the century, really, is that when you buy their pay-per-views and you see the same match 4 months in a row, we may not see Cody versus MJF for 4 months. And by then, it'll be a fresh match again. Great. You have Pac Orange Cassidy highlights, and then Chuck Taylor versus Pac. Jim Ross is out there saying, boy, this Chuck Taylor's a big athlete. I'd like to see him even bigger, get more muscle in that frame. I wish you luck with that, Mr. Ross. So the highlight of this is Jim Ross and Excalibur are talking about move names. I forget what wacky move one of them did. Maybe it was the Awful Waffle. I don't know.
There was an Awful Waffle in this.
There's an Awful Waffle in this match. One of them did a move, and Excalibur gave it a wacky name, or called it by its wacky name. And Ross said, I don't know that one, but then you didn't know the 5-arm earlier, because somebody hit a big flying 4-arm. And Jim Ross says it's a 5-arm. They used to call it a 5-arm back in the day. And this was apparently news to Excalibur, and he didn't get the joke about how it's not just a 4-arm, it's a 5-arm. So then Jim Ross tries to explain it was the 5-arm. Terry Taylor used to use it before, well, and they just moved on. So Jim Ross, in addition to critiquing Chuck Taylor's physique, is also critiquing his, I guess, psychology. As a competitor, he's giving Pac way too much to breathe. Every time he gets an advantage, he stops to pose or hug his friend, and then Pac kicks his ass again. There's one big near fall off the awful waffle. But then Chuck misses a moonsault, and Pac gets the brutalizer, and he wins via submission. And the best part of this is, if you look in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, you see Orange Cassidy reacting to his arch rival defeating his friend by submission. He looks down. He adjusts the drawstring on his sweatpants, I guess. He tugs in his vest. He takes one deep breath. And that's it. That's a temper tantrum by Orange Cassidy standards. It was awesome. So he and Trent have a stare down with Pac, but then the Lucha Brothers come out and kill everybody. There's a great display of violence. Pac dubs this trio the Death Triangle. Or, if you speak Spanish, Triángulo de la Muerte.
Yes.
And they kill everyone some more. It was fun.
It's going to be a great team. Pac
Yes.
and the Lucha Brothers?
I see nothing wrong with this.
Holy smokes.
Tully Blanchard and Sean Spears are still looking for a tag team partner.
I can't believe they're going to Twitter. This has to be just for their own amusement.
I'm certain. They are not going to find...
Now, maybe they will. Who knows?
Unless
Who knows?
somebody maybe...
Who knows what free agent is on Twitter right now?
Maybe Hammerstone will tweet back.
Sure.
Yeah. So, just like I found Baby Doll in 1984, Tully says, when I found the perfect woman, I'm looking for the perfect partner for Sean Spears. So yes, if you're interested, take a photo or video, whatever you want to do. The hashtag is search for Spears, which is funny because it's a search being conducted on Sean Spears' behalf, but it sounds like we're looking for Sean Spears. We can't find him. I predict this will be painful. Maybe in a good way, but painful. QT Marshall versus Jake Hager. A squash, as you would expect. He allows... Hager gives QT one big move, the Mariposa, I believe Excalibur called it. And then Jake immediately flips him out with a lariat, hits a standing choke for the win. A brawl breaks out with Dustin. Cody makes the save, and Cody is the second guy this night to be in the ring, or be out there doing spots in a full suit, a full three-piece suit. And though he did not have a pocket watch, his jacket had tails. That was impressive.
Dude, his jacket had this giant high collar, still couldn't cover up this tattoo.
Of course not. If he thought a collar...
He could wear a turtleneck and that thing would still stick out.
It's essentially on his face, let's be honest. It's mostly on his neck, but it creeps up onto his face. So... there's still only two Rhodes brothers, so they're getting their ass kicked. They're about to finish off Cody. Dustin throws his body across his brother's body to take the grenade, essentially, which is great. But then Matt Jackson runs in. He runs wild for a bit, but he gets laid out by Hager. And out comes stumbling Hangman Page. He comes out. He has a graphic that reads, whooped both their asses. He gets in the ring. The inner circle's not sure what to make of him at first. He basically says, I'm just here to drink beer. But then he very carefully sets his beer on the ring post. He begins to whip their ass until Hager throws him out of the ring. But Hangman Page, in the best drunken kung fu ass kicker spot you ever saw, he catches himself on the ropes, does a big windmill like he's going to fall at any point, finally regains his balance, flips in for the buckshot to wipe Hager out, never spilled his beer, flips off Matt, leaves. Awesome. Awesome, awesome.
It's like past history when we used to say, this fucking Hangman, he's not over.
I know. But
nobody cares.
We said that for weeks, dude.
Somebody's got to do something about this fucking Hangman. Now, you know what's even more amazing about it? 2 weeks ago, he was like the most over guy on the show. Mm-hmm. And then they did that tag match on Saturday, which was designed to get him over. Mm-hmm. He's really the most over guy on the show. And then he comes out again, and they're still trying to get the guy over. Yeah. They are not giving up on this. And it's working great.
Yeah.
This guy may be more over than Cody right now. It's going to be neck and neck soon.
I think it's interesting choice of words there. I think he's more over than Cody right now. I think he's more over than Moxley right now. I don't know how long it can last, but for right now, I think he's the top babyface in the show. I was very intrigued to see what they were going to do for a highlight video for this Nyla Rose-Chris Statlander match. So, they showed some of the good stuff that looked early. Statlander, I think, had a dive for the outside. Nyla did a spear into the ring. Those were both cool. The first terrible thing near the end, they found an angle where it merely looked sloppy. In real life, I assure you it looked much worse than this, but they found an angle where it just looked like a badly done superplex. And then the finish, they knew they couldn't save it. They didn't try. They just played counts of a 3 count and showed the audience cheering. Wise move. Next week on Dynamite, Ortiz versus Cody. The Death Triangle in action. The Blood and Guts rules announcement.
You think you might know, but we'll inform you next week.
That's right. It's a tease of rules that we think we know.
I think we will know.
They might do something different, but we'll find out. Also, the Jurassic Express.
Well, given the traditional rules of a cage match involve escape the cage on WWE TV, and they got rid of one of the rules, I would suspect these will be very traditional War Games rules.
But you're right. Most stranger things have happened. And the Jurassic Express versus MJF and Butcher and Blade. Which brings us to MJF does a promo. It's like in a dark room. You see him, you see Wardlow over his shoulder, and that's it. And for some reason, I don't know if this is on purpose or just...
I think it was a production error.
The thing keeps constantly going in and out of focus.
Yeah, well, no, that was on purpose for some reason.
Well, that's terrible.
I don't know why that was, but they actually, when they first went to him, there was some sort of audio snafu, and you couldn't hear like the first couple of words of his promo.
That happened, and then I think for a while, it was also being played in the arena, and you could hear the echo.
Yes.
So,
luckily he can talk.
The good news is it's MJF, and it's about impossible to fuck him up. He's bragging about his clean win over Cody, writing the final chapter in Cody's legacy. Now it's time to write his own legacy, the greatest world champion in the history of pro wrestling. Whether it's Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho, Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, Pac, or a Lucha Boring, a Jungle Jabroni, or a Marco Stunted Growth. Hyping up the match for next week. And he cuts himself off in the middle and says, "Man, it's hot in here. Wardlow, help me take my jacket off." Takes his jacket off. He's wearing a shirt, a 1983 shopping mall felt t-shirt.
Where the fuck did he get this?
This is the most impressive thing he's ever done, is getting this shirt made like this. And all it says is, "I pinned Cody." And he looks down. "Oh, this is embarrassing. I forgot I had this on. Oh, this shirt is obnoxious. This shirt is regrettable. This shirt is distracting. It's like a neck tattoo." And he laughs and he leaves. MJF's the best. I know I say that about 5 guys in this show.
So it appears that I guess Cody's going to deal with Jake's guy, and then MJF is, I guess, maybe getting the title shot in May. And
good.
I mean, the obvious thing, I don't know if they'll do this, but like the obvious thing is Cody fucks MJF out of the title.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll do that or not. Maybe that's too obvious, but
they could do MJF Moxley. They have enough time before the next big show that the chase of who gets the title shot can be a story for a while. And MJF can be in that mix, and if he ends up coming up short, that's okay.
The best idea I heard from somebody was that MJF needs to lend Cody his scarf to cover up that fucking tattoo. He didn't use that line here, though.
Yeah. Well, there's still time. There is still time. Main event is supposed to be Jon Moxley and Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho. But as Moxley is doing his entrance through the crowd, he is attacked by 3 fans in masks. And they drag him out in the concession area and beat his ass. It is Jake Hager and Proud and Powerful in disguise. And they beat him for a while.
Why'd they need a disguise on? I didn't think about that till just now.
Because they're sitting in the crowd.
I guess they might have called a little bit of attention to themselves.
I've seen better plans.
Yeah.
I've seen better plans. So they beat him, and they beat him, and they beat him, and they beat him. Now, it made sense in a vacuum anyway, because Moxley, if you've been paying attention, he comes out he's never had friends. That's his whole point. He has had blood feuds with other babyfaces in the show. So he's got no friends, that's fine. But then Excalibur says Darby Allin has not there to save him because he has been laid out in the ring. Or maybe they said he got decked. But anyway, then they cut to a wide shot in the arena, and Darby Allin is standing on the floor watching the fight on the big screens. Oops. So eventually, the beating is over. Jon Moxley is not on his own 2 feet. The inner circle is satisfied. Hager choked him out. That's right. And now Darby Allin decides, screw it, I will go it alone. And Darby Allin's a great underdog and a great babyface. So it's a 2-on-1 handicap match. For about 10 minutes, they're just destroying him. And it works because they are both very good and because he is just the most lovable babyface for a guy with a skull painted on half his face. But yeah, the fans just hate Sammy and they just hate Chris Jericho for double teaming their hero Darby Allin.
This match was so fun.
Yes?
Because
the fans cared.
Well, yeah, Darby's a great babyface that people love.
Yes.
And he's very, very good at just getting his ass kicked.
Yes.
And all Chris Jericho has to do is get rolled up a few times. The place goes crazy.
Yeah.
Then him and Sammy can get in there and just fucking tear it up. Like, this is a I mean, it's kind of a bad comparison, but like, they're your Eddie and Benoit, or your Eddie and Dean Malenko.
They cannot have a bad match.
They're just going to go in there every week, two young guys, and they're just going to be fucking awesome. It never gets old. Yeah. It's like Darby could go in there and do the exact same goddamn comeback on Sammy every week, and it's still never going to get old.
It's Dean Malenko and Rey Mysterio.
Yes. There you go.
So, and plus, Jericho and Sammy are both just the ultimate father and son douchebag team. They're a beautiful team, the best. So, and as noted, like I see a lot of wrestling matches where fans chant for a guy or just dueling chants or a catchphrase, and they're involved and they have a favorite, but they're doing it mainly like they want to be a part of the show. That's how it feels. This crowd so badly wanted Darby Allin to win. They wanted him to win this match. So he drags himself to the corner at one point. He hits one big move to cut him off, and he drags himself to the corner where there would be a hot tag, but of course there's no Moxley. So the inner circle is mocking him. Ortiz is on the floor. Tag me, bro, tag me. And Darby just drags himself to his feet and turns around with a look of death in his eye. He tags himself, and it's like a switch is flipped, and he's totally fresh. He's running wild. It's awesome. His comeback is so graceful. He is so slick. He's so good. He throws them outside with their partners. He goes to the top rope. There's 5 grown men out there to catch him, including a pro heavyweight MMA fighter. And so he feels, and he's also completely insane. He may have done this with Ortiz out there by himself. He did the biggest coffin drop from the top rope to the floor. He's just flying high and then down backwards through the air. And they all caught him. Hits another coffin drop on Sammy in the ring.
It's funny about the coffin drop. It's exact same as Kofi Kingston's trust fall.
Yes.
Except Darby's less crazy because he looks.
That's actually true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, the trust fall, I've always hated that move. Because it's like, you know what a fucking trust fall is?
If you call
you're trusting your friend
Yeah.
to catch you.
Yes.
So you don't do a trust fall on a fucking enemy.
In a fight.
That's dumb, okay?
Bruce Lee never did a
He ain't
trust
gonna
fall.
fucking catch you. Except they always do. But the coffin drop is like, it's a dive. He looks where he's going, and he hurls his body at these men. Mm-hmm. So the funny thing is, he's the crazy guy, but Kofi in storyline is way fucking crazier than Darby doing the trust fall.
Yeah. So he hits the coffin drop on Sammy in the ring. Jericho breaks up the pin. And so Sammy runs wild on Jericho, but when he goes for a big dive, Jericho kind of catches him with a Judas effect. He confused the announcers, but that's what happened. And he throws him in the ring, and Sammy gets the pin.
God, the bump that Darby took for that Judas effect out of midair, it was brutal.
Yeah.
He was dead.
So they go to kill him more. When Moxley comes out with a chair, he runs wild for a bit, but of course he's eventually overwhelmed 5-on-1. They drag him up to the top of the stage, and I loved this so much. I don't know if you're aware of this, Brian, but Jon Moxley used to wrestle under the name Dean Ambrose.
Oh, come on.
In a faction called The Shield.
I don't believe that. I know Granny doesn't.
Granny does not. They took him to the top of the stage. Hager all but did the Roman Reigns hoo-ah pose, but he just stands there, proud and powerful, lift Ambrose up, they set him up with a powerbomb. They do the big powerbomb off the stage through tables, and then instead of putting all their fists into one, all 5 guys put their fists together and flip Moxley off. Just the biggest. It was a literal F you to the Shield.
Hey, I said it.
Yes.
I said it last week about Ibushi. It is not a mystery where Jon Moxley came from.
No.
It's not. This is not. I mean, they're isolationist to a degree. Like, if Kenny Omega wins the AAA title, he's not bringing it out on television. But I mean, they're not going to ignore that fact. I mean, they're not going to pretend like he was never part of the Shield, that he was never Dean Ambrose. That's part of history,
Right.
So yeah, they mocked the Shield power bomb. They mocked the Shield pose, and hey, this was fucking great timing. Because there was a lot of shit they had to do, and they've got no overrun. They have no wiggle room. And they did this whole thing. It wasn't rushed. It felt like they had time to do everything. And then the moment they powerbomb him and flip him off, boom, the show goes off the air.
Yes.
That was done very, very well. That was a show.
There you go. Well, neither show was great. Certainly both shows were good. But I think based on the last 15 minutes of each show alone, I'm going to stick with my pretty standard pick of these days. I'm going with All Elite Wrestling.
Well, I do know that as I watched both shows last night, as I watched them, in my mind, I was planning to give it a tie.
All right.
But then when I went back and actually reviewed the shows, I mean, the cage stuff on NXT is just too much for me. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was my breaking point. Like, if you listen to the reviews, there was a lot of great stuff that I really liked on NXT. But the ridiculous cage match finishes, and I'm giving my vote to AEW.
AEW Dynamite, also March 11th, 2020. So Kenny Omega is out of action. Tony Schiavone wants to know, who is Hangman Page's partner going to be tonight? Before he can answer, the Young Bucks, as they always do, interrupt his promo. Although in their defense, they asked, is that why you wanted us here? And Page says, tonight, I need a partner. I need someone I can trust. And it wouldn't be you, Matt Jackson, if you were the last man on Earth. Maybe your younger, more talented brother, but for right now, my partner is a mystery. And he walks off, and Matt looks back at Nick and says, please tell me you're not going to team with that prick. And he walks off, and Nick just shakes his head and has nothing to say.
So,
Ken, you're right there.
Yeah, what's going on over there? What happened?
Hey, he didn't mean.
Are we okay? All right. He went over to talk. I turned his mic on, and then he wouldn't talk.
Could you talk if you wanted to? You can nod.
You've been summoned. You all right?
Yeah, just my wrist almost knocked this off.
I see. Okay.
Okay, I get your wrist is at the edge of the desk. I got it. Yeah.
We thought you had a stroke,
Or
so
something.
we were overly concerned.
Or you got some terrible news.
Not a
Yeah.
good joke.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Well, you lurched. We didn't know why, right?
I was just afraid it was going to fall. It was like a
Okay.
reaction.
You were worried, right, Vinny?
I thought something was happening.
Yeah. See? We care about you, Ken.
That's right. It's all out of love.
Thank you, Brian.
Yes. Where were we? Oh, yeah. So anyway, Nick was gone last week, and I was pretty much told he was going to be gone for a while because his wife is about to give birth.
Oh, okay.
And they'd been on the road forever. So when I saw this segment, I thought, my God, they must have pre-taped this fucking thing 3 weeks ago that's a lot of planning.
Yes, it is.
But no, in fact, they flew Nick in just so they could write him off.
They flew him in to do a bunch of backstage
They
stuff.
flew him in to put his head under a door.
Yeah.
Write him off for a while. So his wife's going to give birth. He's hurt. I don't know if he's going to be back in time for War Games. Although at this point, I don't even know if there's going to be a War Games. So
There's
I
a
guess
lot we don't know.
we'll have to wait and see.
There's a lot we don't know. Cody versus Ortiz. So two things, and neither of them actually pertain to this match itself. They start, they wrestle for like a minute, and then Jake the Snake and Lance Archer just mingle on out through the crowd. Here they come meandering. Like, that's Lance Archer's big debut. And
I would not have done this for a debut.
And that's the big reveal of Jake the Snake's client.
Yes.
This is, in all seriousness, this may have been the worst way to do it.
Well, I think I don't know anything about this, okay? But Lance Archer was supposed to debut last week, and they held him off the show. So maybe the idea was, well, we could debut him last week with Jake, or we just let Jake talk. and debut him the next week. I guess they chose the latter. It was an underwhelming debut.
Oh, it was.
But, hey, listen, it was the first day. It's not ruining the show for me.
It could have been worse. There could have been like a big giant brawl, and he could have been one of the geeks trying to break it up. That would have been worse. There's worse things they could have done. But you know what? There are also many better things they could have done.
Trust me, there's many better things they could have done.
Yes. Speaking of things that could have been done better,
Like he could have killed Cody when the match was over.
that's an easy one. That's an easy one. So, speaking of things that could have done better, the match continues, the rest of the round, and Excalibur casually notes, over the weekend, the teams for Blood and Guts were announced. That's your reveal? That's your announcement? That's your promotion? There's something else going on, and you casually let it slip almost on accident?
Now that I think about it, I think the reason Archer didn't attack Cody is because they don't want to take away attention from War Games. Because Lance Archer is not in War Games.
That's true.
So it's sort of like you'll see this guy lurching around for a few weeks, and then after War Games, they can get that thing started.
That's a reasonable thing to do, but I still would have even just do a backstage thing for 30 seconds where Jake says, here's my new client. In walks Lance Archer. You have him step forward. You put the camera down low so he looks 8 feet tall, and he looks mean as Jake talks about what a badass he is. That would have been better.
Well, there's also the issue that he's not going to look 8 feet tall next to Jake, who's about 6'6".
That is an issue. Jake is a big guy, too. So, the actual match here was so much fun. They just had an old school pro wrestling match. 90% of this is called in the ring. Totally easy to watch. Time flew by. I find this much easier to watch than just a sprint of nonstop action.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, Vinny, but I was going to make that comparison that all of the NXT TV matches, with the exception of the one that went 2 minutes, it was a qualifier that I complained about. I mean, they're all designed to be great matches. And quite frankly, honest to God, they can be very numbing.
Yes.
There's a million things happening. And these AEW matches, every single match on this show, I thought was a really fun match.
Yes.
And to me, as a viewer and a longtime fan, I would rather see a really fun match than 5 matches where all 5 matches, they're trying to steal the show.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. No,
I don't know about everybody else, but that's my preference.
This match, the match itself and everything they did, it all had room to breathe. I never felt like they had like a checklist of things they had to do. They had to get all their shit in. No, they just had to go in there and have a match. So they did have a few stuff planned. Santana interferes. Brandy whips him down off the apron. Then Santana goes after Arn, but Cody wipes him out with a tope. So Ortiz tries a tope, but Cody catches him and hits a gourd buster on the ramp. And I don't think any of the announcers pointed this out, but the gourd buster is one of Arn Anderson's moves. So Archer teases jumping the rail at this point, but Jake grabs him, pulls him to the back, they leave, they're not seen again. And then Cody begins to work the leg. He hooks the figure 4, and my heart melted at this finish. He puts him in the figure 4. Ortiz fights and fights. He fights the reversal. He reverses the figure 4, and Cody's in pain, but then Cody reverses it back, and now Ortiz is stuck, and now he gives up. Awesome. That's just awesome. Right? It's not predictable, but it's logical. Great. So afterwards, Santana lays Cody out with a mad ball. Arn scares him away. And then Matt Jackson and Kenny Omega with his hand in a cast hit the ring. But there's more. Jericho and his crew appear on the screen. We talk a lot about Chris Jericho, how his matches are still great, his promos are still unbelievable, his gimmick is great, all this. We should also add that in 2020, he has still been blessed with gorgeous hair. That's just a fact. So he got this great promo. I love, because you know this had to happen, Chris Jericho is allowed to use the word shit 1 time per show.
Well, anybody can.
Well,
he got it this week. Once per hour.
Once per hour.
Yes.
And it was deemed, Chris, you get to say shit in this hour. And that means he had to prepare. Couldn't just drop it randomly. No. Had to give the word the credit and the setup and delivery it deserved.
Every time he gets the word,
yes,
he makes the most of it.
So he's plugging the blood and guts match. He says, when we get you guys in those 2 rings, we're going to beat the hell out of you pumpkinhead dipshits. Pumpkinhead dipshits. That's very deliberate. That's got to
be a shirt.
Very deliberate. So he asked them, where's your brother? Where's Nick Jackson? We ran into him in the hallway. Truth be told, he's got a bit of a headache. And the camera pans out. They have pinned Nick under a big, heavy steel door. He's bleeding from the mouth. He's in a very bad way. And Jericho says, more appropriately, a whole body ache. And they all laugh because they're quality heels. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Let's go, boys. Jericho remains the absolute unbelievable best. It's just a fact.
I love that the wacky thing that they did was Nick's head is under a sliding bay door.
It's like in his mouth.
Not like, his body is squished.
No.
His fucking head is pinned between the ground and this door, and he's got blood coming out of his mouth. And it was like ridiculously awesome. And yesterday I noted my great disappointment that Jim Ross announced that Nick was being taken to a, quote, medical facility. But I was alerted that throughout the rest of the show, they did in fact say he was in the hospital.
Oh, good.
So thank God. Ross got 1 out. Old habits hard to break.
That's true. That is
but
true.
The rest of the time, it was hospital.
I'm watching this Thursday night commercial for the NBA. I didn't even watch the NBA, and this still made me sad. So Nick's loaded into an ambulance. He leaves in the ambulance. Cody and Matt frantically scurry into a car to accompany him to the hospital. The announcers, shaken up by this brazen attack, this act of violence, still have a job to do. They're going to run down the show. Tonight, the Jurassic Express will face MJF versus Butcher, the Jurassic Express will face MJF and the Butcher and the Blade. The Death Triangle, in their debut as a team, will face Joey Janela and Private Party. The main event is Hangman Page, any mystery partner, versus Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. And our next match, I guess our opener, was it? No, we had an opener. The next match, they don't usually start with...
Just fucking praise the opener to high heaven.
I did.
You forgot it existed.
I did. Nyla Rose and Bea Priestley versus Chris Stanler and Hikaru Shida. So, I will say this. As much as I hate the very obvious, very predictable commercial breaks in WWE, where you know when someone hits a dive in 2 minutes, you can, before the announcer even says, as NXT or Raw or SmackDown rolls on, you're already reaching for the moat. That is better than setting up a hot tag and going to break right as they touch hands. That sucked.
That is bad timing.
The only one thing you do worse is miss the finish.
I do like how they don't have the predictable and Dynamite rolls on. Mm-hmm. But instead, it's always like JR going, well, check this out during the break. Check this out in the inset.
It's funny you bring that up. Stick around and watch picture-in-picture, he says. We go to break. There is no picture-in-picture.
This poor guy. This happened to him a few times.
And then they come back. Thank you all for watching that picture-in-picture.
You can't win them all.
There's some wires that are not crossed correctly here. So, the match is okay. They did way too much stuff.
It was not a bad match.
They did like 4 hot tags.
This is one of those matches where the crowd's dead, but like they're trying to will this to be a great show. Mm-hmm. So they're not rude. They're polite. There was a spot where B tried a springboard and she messed it up. And then she tried again and it still wasn't perfect. And like the whole crowd goes, all right, whatever. And they just let it go. Like they were fixing to be really mean about it, but then they just couldn't bring themselves to do it.
Yes.
So they just let it go.
AEW fans are the exact opposite of ECW fans.
Yes.
So they do the match. Shida does a Michinoku driver on Nyla, which is very impressive. But Nyla came back and speared her and pinned her with the Beast Bomb.
I honestly will never forget Statlander doing that kip up. It wasn't in this match. It was like last week. She did a kip up, but she didn't make it up. She fell down, and so she did a backward roll and stood up, and she was cheered.
Hey, she tried her best.
It's like, this is the nicest fucking crowd I have ever seen in my life.
Yes. Very. If it sounds like we're making fun of them, we're not.
No, not at all. Like, I'm so over wrestling right now, but every now and then I'll see a crowd react like that, or I'll see a crowd at Defy, and I'm like, fuck. If I were like 25 Jesus, I'd just be dying to do this.
Yeah.
What a crowd. Of course, someday this is all going to turn. And like all these nice young millennial wrestlers, they're going to be in their 40s, early 50s trying to do this. It's going to be a brutal crowd telling me suck and they're old, they're shit. It's all going to come around again.
Things do come around. So we come back from replay, and suddenly Bea Priestley is stomping Nyla Rose, her tag team partner. What happened? I don't know.
Well, when Nyla pinned Hikaru Shida, like, at first I was surprised because I figured somebody was going to pin Nyla and set up a match. She is the champion. That makes sense. But they don't have to shoot an angle in every match, is what I concluded. But then they shot an angle.
Well, on top of that,
Here's the deal. So I think clearly they've got something in Shida. The fans really like her. So the next pay-per-view isn't until Memorial Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
If they have it. So it's March 12th now, and you've got to do something in the meantime. So Bea Priestley is a totally fine something to do in the meantime.
that's all fine.
And away you go.
That's all fine.
Yes.
I'm just saying, if I was going to have Bea Priestley be my next challenger for Nyla Rose, and as the announcers pointed out, she had not even been on the show since December, I'd have had her win instead of having Nyla Rose win. Then
Well,
turn on her.
I don't know.
I don't either. That's my point.
It didn't ruin the match.
It didn't ruin the match. It didn't ruin the segment. It won't matter. It won't.
My standards are very different for AEW.
no one's
That
going-
is a fact. That is a fact.
No one is going to decide whether or not to buy this pay-per-view on who got the pin in this women's tag match in March.
When I watch
I'm just saying
Raw
that's not how I would have done
and
it.
SmackDown, I feel constantly screwed.
That's fair.
Okay?
That's fair.
So when I watch this show, I never feel screwed. And so when they make decisions I don't agree with, it's like, I don't agree with it, but like, it's not the end of the world.
Sure.
It's not stupid.
They'll get it right next time.
Like it's stupid on Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah. So this next segment, I saw some very polarizing reactions. I thought it was fantastic. Chris Daniels does a parody of all the Dark Order videos. Where he starts off, he's in a suit, and it's got the same like mountaintop video backgrounds behind him. And it starts off, and he's doing like a recruiting pitch, like we saw the Dark Order do. And he explains, we have a message for you. And that message, and then there's a wacky video effect, and there he's there in his wrestling gear, and he shouts, "Screw the Dark Order!" Says the Dark Order comes out here, and they always talk about, when AEW started, they were really on a roll, until they got beat by SCU. Then they started creating videos targeting the lost and the frustrated. But it's a funny thing. No one in those videos, and no one else in those matches, ever saw success except Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. Then, Uno and Grayson tried to convince you that I was the Exalted One. But that was a lie. A lie to hide that there is no Exalted One. He challenged Evil Uno and Stu Grayson to singles matches anywhere they want, on pay-per-view, on Dynamite, on Dark, in a parking lot. When he beats them both, and no Exalted One shows up, he will prove there is no Exalted One. Screw the Dark Order. They suck. I
Okay.
laughed.
So I like this, but there's a lot to talk about here. Okay? So his storyline that he created here is that he doesn't think there's an Exalted One. He wants to face Uno and Grayson, and he believes that when he beats them both, if no Exalted One comes out, the Exalted One does not exist, right?
Right.
Okay. So the Dark taping, he beats Stu Grayson.
Okay.
That's going to air Tuesday. Okay. So my presumption is that he faces Evil Uno next Wednesday, if there's a show.
Sure.
Okay. So if he faces Evil Uno, if he beats him, that would have been a great time for the appearance of the Exalted One. If we didn't know he was coming. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
This is my same argument for Edge, okay? Later in the show, they just flat out announce the Exalted One will be revealed next week.
There is that.
I was like, hold on a second. So earlier in the show, you built up a storyline
Okay, yeah.
where Daniels has to win 2 matches because he believes that if he wins both, and now you're just telling us not only is there an Exalted One, but he's going to debut next week.
I haven't put that together until right now, but you were correct.
That is really bizarre. Yeah. Okay, now, I got more to say about this. So I watched this show hours after it airs. So, like, I'm just bombarded with messages before I even watch the show. And so one of the messages that I got as I'm out doing whatever is, Luke Harper's the Exalted One. I thought, wow, they just debuted him on the show tonight, and it's Luke Harper. I mean, I'm sure he'll be a great Exalted One, but that's weird. So I got home, and, I do a scan of the front page to see, like, has WrestleMania been canceled? I see nothing about, it just says, Dark Order leader revealed next week. And I was like, so it wasn't Luke Harper. So I watched the show, and in fact, Luke Harper is nowhere on this show. So I'm like, what the fuck is this? Then I realize, okay, everyone is assuming that the leader of the Dark Order is Luke Harper because the show is in Rochester, which is Luke Harper's hometown.
Aha.
Now I figured out at least why they announced that the leader of the Dark Order is coming next week. They want you to think it's Luke Harper.
Sure.
Now listen, maybe it is, okay? But anybody who is sure it's Luke Harper, dude, they did Dark Order segments where Jim Cornette's glasses and racket were in the corner of the room.
Yeah.
They had Raven do Dark Order graphics where they slowed down his voice.
Yes.
And when people figured it out, they had him sitting in the crowd.
Yes.
Okay? They had a social media post where if you took the first letter of every sentence, it spelled Matt Hardy.
It sure did.
This is the exact same thing.
Yes.
The Dark Order, the leader of the Dark Order, the Exalted One, is debuting in Rochester. It's the same deal. They want you to think that's who it's going to be. Now, somebody's going to be the leader. I still feel like it's going to be Matt Hardy, but I don't know. It might be Luke Harper. It fucking might be Raven. You know who it might be? It might be fucking Chris Daniels. But the point is, they've thrown out 5 red herrings so far that I know of.
Yes.
And maybe more. So do not presume that the Dark Order leader is Luke Harper. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Now, with all that said, this was still weird that they killed their own storyline that Chris Daniels started earlier in the show by announcing he's there next week. And by the way, now the show's not in Rochester, so now everything's really weird.
These are weird times. Butcher and Blade and MJF versus Jurassic Express. I love they get the heat on Luchasaurus, and I swear to God, they get the heat in him for like 5 minutes, which is fine, but for like 4 minutes and 40 seconds of those 5 minutes, he's leaning back in the corner, just getting punched and kicked and choked.
You know what's funny about this?
Very basic.
You've got Marco Stunt.
Yes.
And the Jungle Boy.
Right.
And they're getting the heat
on the dinosaur.
On the dinosaur, who, by the way, always gets a pop for the comeback.
Of course.
So I'm like, why in the fuck are they? But then.
Because
the spot they did for him to get the hot tag made it all worth it.
So I am an uncle many times over, and I've many times been playing with young children, and we'll be in the backyard, living room, whatever, and I'll say, all right, it's time to quit. And I will start to walk away, and they will tackle my feet. And I will drag them around the room, and they will laugh and cackle as I just take one big step after another, dragging them here, dragging them there. Well, that is exactly what Luchasaurus and MJF and the Blade did. He started to crawl towards the corner. Each of his opponents grabbed one foot, and he fought to his feet and took one mighty right step, dragging MJF along. And he took one mighty left step, dragging the Blade along. And it's so awesome, because if this was real, there's no way 2 guys are just going to get dragged across the ring. But it's pro wrestling. And so it's fun. And so they just let themselves get dragged over there, and eventually he tags in Jungle Boy, and Jungle Boy runs wild.
It's not the same thing, but school's canceled everywhere, including Paisley's preschool.
Yep.
So I've been playing a lot with her during the day. So today, she wasn't hanging on my foot to drag her, but she was attempting to hop on Pop.
Yeah.
We read this Dr. Seuss book, and she's actually trying to jump on me,
Sure.
which was cool when she was 1. But
Less
like
cool when
now
she's
she's
4.
fucking 4, and she's beefy. So she's fucking jumping on me.
She is a solidly
I
built young
literally
lady.
screamed the line, "You must not hop on Pop today in this house."
We went to
Banned.
her birthday party last weekend.
Yes.
At the Bounty House, where I think I was there for an hour, and for an hour straight, she was running and jumping.
She never stops.
Never. And I said to you at one point, I think by the end of this hour, her legs are going to be bigger than mine.
She's put together.
She's a strong little girl. So the little dudes make their comeback. Marco was awesome. Marco is awesome because he's the tiny little man who just doesn't care. He's well aware how small he is. He doesn't care. He's going to beat your ass anyway. There was a point, they had a big spot planned where somebody would make a cover and somebody else would break up a pin by throwing a third guy into the pile or whatever, but their timing was way off. And so all the parts started to go into motion, and Aubrey drops down to count, and you can hear her count 1, 2, kick out! And then they didn't kick out, and she held up her count. But I think there was enough going on, the crowd didn't notice that. At this point, we got the hoss fight, finally, between the butcher and the dinosaur.
Oh, what a hoss
It was a
fight.
great hoss fight.
Can you imagine being a butcher and there's a dinosaur in front of you?
Hey, this butcher didn't
What a
back down.
dream come true.
Oh, this is more meat to cut. So Marco runs wild. He tries to drag MJF across the... I love that Marco's big comeback. He lays the guy down in the corner like for a Bronco Buster or whatever, and then he just runs and stomps the biggest multiple you ever saw.
Yes.
He just throws 1,000 stomps in a row. It's awesome. Eventually, a lot goes on. I didn't go into detail. Bunny and Wardlow got involved, and MJF tapped out Marco with the Salt of the Earth, the Fujiwara armbar.
I've not gone back to listen, but like, am I out of my mind they changed MJF's music? It's different.
Yeah, it feels like a remix of the same.
Yes.
Basic song?
I mean, you can still kind of hear the beat underneath, but like the really douchey part, they've toned it down.
They may have.
Yeah. I said this, and then I had people telling me, no, it's the same music. It just has his voice over it. And I haven't gone back to listen yet, but I don't think I'm crazy. I recognize that music. I loved the original song.
We have a Darby Allin video. He's very creative. They're weird, but that.
Well, it was weird because he is wearing a Jericho mask.
Yes.
And he puts someone wearing a Sammy mask in a body bag.
Yes.
And then drags it around his yard. He actually does what they threatened to do to Chris Benoit on
the Radicals,
Retro Raw.
Yes, he lynched this person.
The only reason it was weird because they just had shot a video where the Young Bucks put Matt Hardy in a body bag.
No, had they?
They bury him.
Oh, how about
So it's
that?
Like, I just saw that.
I only saw the line where Matt says, "You must bury me," and they say, "What? Like book you badly?" He says, "No, I've had enough of that in my career." So, anyway, yeah, Darby Allin videos. He's very creative. They're always worth watching. I never feel like, hey, I've seen this 100 times before. Tony interviews Britt Baker. She buries Utah. No caffeine is allowed here. No alcohol is allowed here. But based on the poor oral hygiene and the high BMIs I see in this crowd, they must have lots of sugar here. Tells them to aim high. They can all be janitors and plumbers. She is here to be their role model. Eventually, Big Swole interrupts. Big Swole says, "I don't know why you're out here with Tony every week. He don't even like you." To which Tony Schiavone, he's saying it only to her, but he's got the mic just close enough you can hear him over it. Hear him say, "Kayfabe that."
Is that what he said?
I died. I absolutely died.
I rewound it multiple times. I couldn't hear what he said.
So Britt says the only wrestler in Swole's household anyone cares about is her boyfriend, who, by the way, I have no idea who Big Swole's dating, or as she's correct her, married to.
It's Cedric.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah.
All right. So, well, maybe that's why they didn't explain it. But Swole then left no doubt about Britt Baker's relationship, which says, "At least I'm married, baby." And that's fighting words, and this crowd knew it. So Britt throws her coffee in Swole's face and runs away, and that's that. That was fine. Joey Janela and Private Party versus Death Triangle. I don't care what anyone says. The best part of this match was Pentagon Jr.'s half Venom mask. That was great.
I just love that we had a match where the babyfaces never got an entrance.
Right?
It's a debut of the Death Triangle, and you're pretty much just expecting it's going to be like a one-sided squash. Mm-hmm. And when I saw Private Party and Joey Janela just standing there with no entrance, I thought, what did these fucking guys ever do to deserve this?
Well,
the answer was, I was wrong.
Yeah.
They had a very competitive match.
It
to
did.
the point where Private Party and Joey Janela took most of the match.
Probably true.
Yeah.
If this was a spot fest, crowd loved it. Everything looked cool. 1,000,000,001 dives. And eventually Joey Janela is pinned after the foot stomp, package pile driver, and the Black Arrow, which should pin a man.
What I love is, like, on Raw or SmackDown, you know, if you're going to get an act over, like, there's the 3 tiers. There's the stars, of which we have almost none. There's
they're not on the show.
The enormous middle class.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, you know, 6 or 7 guys.
The main event crew.
They just never, ever win.
Ironically, the main event crew is the bottom tier.
Sure, they're whatever. So they're your
Hawkins and Ryder.
Whoever.
Eric Young, who I legit forgot was employed until we went to that show.
Sure. So, you know, if they did this match on Raw, it's just like a one-sided squash in 2 minutes. Because, well, we got to get the stars over and, you know, just going to kill these guys. But the reality is, in this match, Death Triangle still went over. Mm-hmm. They still won clean.
Oh, they did?
You didn't have to bury Private Party and Joey Janela at all.
No.
If you're a fan of Hawkins and Ryder, like, you're just fucked. Like,
I see your point.
You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, if you're a fan of Private Party, Joey Janela, they didn't win, but you got to enjoy them doing all their stuff and having a fun match, and nobody got buried.
No.
They still put over the Death Triangle.
In fact, they put over more because the Death Triangle beat a quality team.
Yes, this is not fucking hard. I don't know why it has to be so hard on the main roster.
So after getting the win with both their finishing moves, they put on a wacky 6-person crossface / camel clutch thing, which apparently is actually called the Death Triangle, and the best friends came out and made the save. Lexi is interviewing Dustin Rhodes.
Oh, poor Lexi. This had to be a rib. This fucking question. You got to be kidding me. She goes, Dustin, earlier tonight you were not in your gear, but now you are. What's going on? I was like, this had to be by design. You know what I'm saying? It had to be.
They cannot have accidentally picked
wait till
up
Alvarez
something
hears
horrible.
this one. Fuck, he'll go off for an hour.
Well, it was a horrible question, but it led to Dustin cutting a fun promo, so who cares? He said
His answer is, I'm wrestling.
that was what he said.
What? That's why you're wearing gear?
And
It's
face
not
paint.
a Halloween party?
And face paint. He's pissed off and tired of the inner circle running roughshod on everybody, including himself. He declares himself to be Hangman Page's partner, whether he likes it or not, and he promises there's going to be some cowboy shit.
We're fixing to kick Inner Circle's ass and do some cowboy shit.
Yes.
He is a great promo.
Oh, he's awesome.
And a great wrestler.
And a great wrestler. We have our first match
Oh, Lord.
of Search for Spears entrance.
You know, we see what Tony Khan loved when he was younger. Oh, these fucking Tough Enough videos.
Clearly.
Jesus, look at these geeks.
I thought this is a great mix of delusions of grandeur, people who clearly don't realize how little hope they have of getting picked.
I don't know, because they had one totally skinny geek, and his line was, I think I'd be a great partner. I'd love for you to train me.
Yes.
He didn't even claim he was any good. He was like, I think I could be taught.
You had a mix of guys who were trying their best, but they weren't very good, and a handful of guys who actually seemed like perfectly reasonable.
Actual indie guys.
One guy I'm pretty sure was Val Venus. But my favorite by light years, the guy is doing the promo on his phone in his truck. He explains, I'm the perfect 5. 'Cause I'm 5'4"
Yes.
of pure greatness.
And that's when they cut away.
Yes.
Like, nothing was going to top that line.
No. Because the perfect 5 is in fact 5 and a little bit more. I laughed so hard at that. Next week.
He couldn't even lie and say, I'm the perfect 5 because I'm 5'5".
Yeah.
It had to be 5'4". You know what I'm saying?
That took you no thought.
No.
I'm 5 squared. Next week, in theory, Lucha Brothers versus Best Friends. The Dark Order presents the Exalted One. And the Inner Circle versus the Elite in a trios match, where the winner will get the advantage in blood and guts. Though they don't say which 6 men are in this trios match.
Now, it is possible that since the Dark Order is presenting the Exalted One, we're reading way too much into this, and it's just a decoy.
I suppose.
They could also be doing that.
They do the rules for the blood and guts match.
You'll never guess.
It is, in fact, War Games.
With the cage,
Yes.
roof, with submit or surrender.
Yes.
No fucking pinfalls.
1 5-minute period.
Great.
And then a new man in every 2 minutes. I have great faith they will do this correctly.
And in that Elite Inner Circle match, the winning team does get the man advantage.
That's correct. Do not bet on the Elite. That's my advice to you this week. Jim Ross is a sit-down interview with Moxley. So after the beating last week at the hands of the Inner Circle, Moxley has been medically suspended from the arena.
Oh,
Says he's not feeling good, and he's pretty pissed off. But he points out he is still the champion. He's still winning the game. So he talks about what happened last week and how Hager was the one who actually powerbombed him through a table. Starts to challenge Hager, and Jim Ross says that match is inevitable. And Mox says, I will admit, Jake Hager hit me harder than anyone else ever has. And
I can believe that.
I don't doubt that for a second. And when you look at my resume, that's saying quite a bit. But at the end of the day, he's just another guy in AEW. And Ross asks, what is your game plan for Newark? And Moxley says, I'm a blood and guts guy. I would not miss blood and guts for the world. But now the Inner Circle is focused on the Elite. I'm in their blind spot. And he looks into the camera. If you're as smart as you think you are, that scares you. That was a great promo. Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara versus Hangman Page and his mystery partner, which was in fact Dustin Rhodes, so I guess it wasn't much of a mystery at this point. Page was not happy about Dustin Rhodes coming out to be his partner. I was not happy about the wrestlers taking beer from the fans and drinking it. I think we can shelve that spot for a while.
Oh, it's all plants.
I hope so. That makes me
Yes.
happier. That makes me much happier, actually.
Dude, there's a lot of stuff that is not what it seems.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
So, they had a very fun tag match. Big double dive spot with the baby faces where Dustin does his reverse crossbody into the ring, and from the same turnbuckle, Page does the big giant moonsault to the floor. Looked awesome. Page goes to the buckshot, but Jericho catches him, puts him in the walls. Dustin breaks that up. And then later, Dustin hits a Canadian Destroyer on Sammy, which leads to Page hitting the buckshot on Sammy and pinning him. Great.
Oh, dude, I loved the finish of this match. Fucking Sammy is just the greatest.
Sammy's amazing.
So, Hangman's going for the buckshot. Jericho yanks him off the apron, so Hangman just waffles Jericho. He gets back up on the apron. But before he can do the buckshot, Dustin hits Sammy with this Destroyer. Sammy lands right on his fucking head and flips up to his feet. And he stumbles backwards into the ropes. He stumbles forward. Fucking Hangman buckshots him. He flips inside out and backwards. Yeah. He is the greatest.
And I will add that the Destroyer and the buckshot are similar in that they're both forward flips.
Yes.
So when the camera is set on this and you see one forward flip, and that goes back, then another one forward flips in to clothesline him, it just looked really cool.
Like it was a cartoon. Like if you're going to kill a man in a pro wrestling cartoon,
yeah,
I mean, this is it.
Yes.
He's dead.
Yes. So the Inner Circle begins to stomp the winning team. Omega tries to save. He gets his ass kicked. Cody tries to save. Back from the hospital. He gets his ass kicked. Hangman is dragged up the ramp. They're going to do the Shield powerbomb to him through the table. Matt Jackson is also back from the hospital. He makes the big save. He lays out everyone, but in the middle of it, he stops to flip off Hangman Page. And this gives Jericho time to recover, grab a chair, and hit them very hard with it. And that's how they went off the air.
We couldn't see Matt because the chair was just in front of his whole body. But Hangman absolutely got both of his hands up. I presume Matt did as well, but hopefully he did.
As you noted, things are not always what they seem.
There's a lot of that on this show.
Yeah.
So that was it. The other thing with these shows, I've said it before, and I shall repeat myself, which I hate to do, but sometimes it must be done,
You
Vinny.
do 14 shows a week. I mean,
Yeah, so it's even more important that I don't. But anyway, this is like an MMA fight that is very, very close, but it's still a 50-45. I'm giving the win to AEW again.
yeah.
And I don't want people thinking that, like, I don't like NXT. This is not where I love one show and I hate the other. I really like the NXT show. But for some reason, and I think it's what we were talking about earlier, where it's just NXT is all about trying to do 4 match of the nights and then like a total squash. And the AEW matches, I always just have more fun watching the AEW show. And that's not a negative for NXT. It's not like I don't have fun watching NXT, but of the two, I have more fun. Listen, if I go and I have a fucking Wagyu ribeye, and then I go to another place and I have some really great fettuccine Alfredo, let me tell you something, I'm going to like that ribeye better. I'm going to have more fun eating that ribeye. Doesn't mean I didn't like the chicken fettuccine. You know what I'm saying?
I actually do.
I have more fun watching the AEW show than I have watching the NXT show. And sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes I do have more fun watching NXT. But in general, there's something about the way that AEW paces the show. That fucking show goes by so fast.
NXT feels like if you turn away for a second, you're going to miss something. And there's pressure on you as a viewer basically to not blink.
Sure, but I mean, even their main event, which I thought was a very good main event, I still was like, how fucking long is this match? I've seen 10 hot tags in this match and 1,000 moves. The AEW matches, they're almost all longer.
Yeah, usually.
Some of them are longer than they need to be, usually the women's matches. But never does it feel like, how the fuck long? Is this match over yet?
That never
It
happens.
never feels like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think this match is going on a little too long, but I never think this has fucking gone on forever. There's a big difference. And I don't feel that with a lot of NXT matches, but I do feel it more often watching NXT than I do watching AEW, as well as the whole show in general.
Yes.
Like, every time I check the clock with AEW, it's like, fuck, it's now we're 20 minutes in already? And then sometimes I'll check the clock for NXT, and it's like, Jesus.
Yes.
And the show's 2 hours and 6 minutes long.
Because it's literally, it's harder to watch because so much is going on.
Yes.
When NXT is done, I am exhausted. When AEW is done, I was like, that was fun. And I move on. And that's a better feeling. No, I'm with you. NXT was a very good show. AEW is better this week. That's all.
All right, and that's all.
And who the hell knows what happens now?
Well, I'll tell you what happens now. I mean, one way or the other, we're doing all... I need to see some old-fashioned wrestling, ass-kicking.
Well, let's move on then.
Let's talk about this AEW show.
AEW Dynamite, also March 18th, 2020.
Dudes beat the shit out of each other.
Eventually. We do start with more talking. Cody makes a speech, and he acknowledges what's going... Without, dwelling on it. Things are weird right now. Across the planet. So... They're going talks about how important the service they provide as entertainers is. He's going to ask 3 of the best athletes in the world, including him, I guess, to put their differences aside and stand together as human beings.
God, when he said that, I was petrified that, like, he was going to bring out MJF.
Yes.
And, like, they were going to go out of character.
Yes.
And I was like, dude, listen, I know things are rough right now, but just give me a wrestling show.
Yeah.
With good guys and bad. And he didn't. He brought out the Elite, and they stayed in the storyline.
Yes. So, addresses Matt Jackson. Save for Tony Khan, he says, you are most responsible for AEW even existing. Now, your anger towards Adam Page is misplaced. I need your older brother wisdom. I need you to fight with Nick's heart so that we can get the advantage at Blood and Guts, which apparently they're still planning on going forth with at some point. Adam Page, he says, I'm tired of putting you over. I thought you were going to beat Jericho. You didn't, but hey, neither did I. You lost. I need you to get over it, and you can be the reason we win at Blood and Guts. He turns to Kenny Omega. Omega, he says, well, you and I have not, or actually Omega says, no, I'm sorry, Cody started. We have not always gotten along. We both want to be the top guy, but for Blood and Guts, I need the real Kenny Omega, the best bout machine. In short, I need the Elite to be the Elite. And he turns to the entranceway. Matt Jackson, Kenny Omega come out through the darkness. Omega says, "There's just the three of us, just three friends talking to friends. Cody, you and I have not always seen eye to eye. This whole world's falling apart. Everything we've built might be falling apart. We don't know if there's going to be a Dynamite next week." But
That's true.
I'm sure it is. But I want to go out the same way we came in, as the Elite. Matt says, "Nick can't even get on an airplane right now. He's out indefinitely. It's just the three of us. So I need to know, where is Hangman Adam Page?" And Page comes out with his beverage. Matt says, "Adam, you and I are not going to fix our issues tonight, or in a week for that matter. I just need to know tonight. We need to know. Tonight in that Blood and Guts, will you stand with us?" And Page raises his drink to them, slips to the back to finish. Omega addresses the people at home, looks in the camera, says, "All we can do is our best. The world needs positivity. All we can do is the best show we know how to give. So hit the lights, hit the pyro, and let's start Dynamite."
Oh, man. I was ready to go.
My God, did they have pyro.
Dude, they had pyro, and, as I've said 1,000 times, the camera's just facing the stage. You see the lights, you hear the music, and I will say this, and I thought this before I watched the show. Now that I've watched the show, I take this back, okay?
Right.
But I guess there was another moment where it worked. So, I had not seen the show when they hit the pyro. I had only seen Raw and SmackDown, and it was depressing. It's dark, it's quiet, there's just empty seats everywhere. So, as soon as they shoot the stage, I'm like, it's already better. It's already better. The lights, it's just so much more alive. And they hit the music, and it occurred to me, it's going to sound weird, but I thought of New Jack. I thought, you know what? If you're just going to run in an empty building, if you're just going to run in an empty building and you're not going to have any fans or any wrestlers in the seats, just fucking lay down a bed of music under everything. It doesn't have to be loud. It's just some sort of ambiance. I mean, what is pro wrestling? It's two fucking guys fake fighting, okay? Every goddamn action movie you've ever seen has got a fake fight, okay? Name one fake fight that doesn't have some goddamn music in the background, where it's just silence and two fucking guys are grunting, okay? I'm sure you can say, oh, well, in this movie or that movie. Dude, in 98% of movies, when there's a fight scene, there's fucking dramatic music in the background. And if you're going to do it the way that WWE does it, where there's not one single solitary body there except the commentators, lay down a fucking track underneath that fighting, and it's already guaranteed going to be better. Now, they did something smarter. They put fucking humans in the crowd.
Yes.
5 on each side. I think it was 5. And the heels yelled at the baby faces. The baby
made as much noise as they could.
Cheered on the baby faces. And like they were out there having a fucking good time. And it saved the show. But like, if you're not going to do that, it's going to hurt to try putting some music underneath it. I don't think so. And when Matt Hardy made his appearance and he's doing the delete thing and there's no one in the building, at least his fucking music was playing. They would have been better with a crowd, obviously, but you didn't have a crowd. So you did lay down a track underneath him doing the thing, and it was better. But that's what I thought when the show opened. When they hit that music and had that light show and the pyro, I was like, man, here we go. It's wrestling night. I was excited.
I was thinking of fight scenes with no music. I think Roddy Piper in They Live would be the best counterexample to your point. But yes, Brian, most fight scenes in movies have music playing. Yeah, I was actually going to say that, as long as you have to do the shows, you have to do these empty arena shows. It's not your fault. Either company, it's not your fault, and you're doing the best you can. I understand that, but even just pipe in crowd noise would be better than silence in a gym. So the commentary crew tonight is Jim Ross, Excalibur, and Taz, with Tony, at least for this show, exclusively an interview person. They run down the card. The Jurassic Express versus the Butcher and the Blade. A women's four-way. Penelope Ford versus Chris Statlander versus Riho versus Hikaru Shida. A trios match with the Inner Circle versus the Elite, with the winning team getting the advantage in Blood and Guts. And your opener, The Lucha Brothers versus the Best Friends.
You know, the other thing that I loved about this show was when I talked about WWE and their camera angles. I mean, it is true. In WWE, there is a way to do everything. And every show is done the same way. And the thing with AEW is, you know, these are guys that some of them very recently have worked indie shows with not a lot of fans there. Like, there's way more fans at indie shows nowadays than there have been in the past, but I guarantee if Marco Stunt's doing shows in Mississippi, he's worked fucking shows where there's not a lot of people there.
Sure.
And there have been extenuating circumstances. I'm sure they've all worked on a show where like a rope broke or something fucking went wrong, and they had to make the best of it, okay? In WWE, it's like there are rules, and these are the rules that we're going to follow, even if coronavirus has shut down the whole fucking world. In AEW, it's like, well, fuck. Shit's happened. How can we make things work?
Don't pretend it hasn't happened.
There aren't any rules.
Yeah.
You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
It's fake. And so I watched this show, and they made the best out of a bad situation with a lot of creativity.
Yes. So, Tony goes to interview MJF at ringside. I actually failed to write down the question Tony asked, but it was like, what are you doing out here? And MJF makes fun of his question and says, you are a tremendous journalist. And Tony says, thank you. So MJF explains, the winner's purse on the matches on tonight's show, I'm sure it's a lot of money to a lot of guys on this card. It's not a lot of money to me. So I'm going to let the undercard talent, use those words, get their TV time and make their money. I'm going to sit here and have fun with Sean Spears. And Tony notes them passing money back and forth. He accuses them of gambling. They are both outraged at these accusations, then invite him to join the action. MJF remains awesome. Brandy is doing ring announcing. Her on-screen graphic reads, said she would never ring announce again.
Well,
things change.
Shit happens. And she didn't do that bad. She looked embarrassed.
Well, she did a great job. The Best Friends versus the Lucha Brothers. We see SCU, Sunny Kiss, Colt Cabana at ringside on one side. The other side had MJF, Spears, Tully Blanchard. For a while, Jake Roberts and Lance Archer. Yeah, at one point in this match, I mentioned last week how I was not impressed with Lance Archer's debut. There's a point here where the camera just pans over and Lance is sitting there and they never mentioned him. That was even worse. Now they redeem it later. But
They sure did.
So, the crowd, these dozen people or whatever, they were actually for a while too loud. They were drowning out the announcers, which was impressive. The great news is a lot of it is MJF. When Chuck Taylor flexes and MJF heckles him, you're in great shape for a potato. Ha 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 ha.
Loved it.
Orange Cassidy joins the announce desk, but I think he was literally asleep.
He did fall asleep at one point.
They were making fun of him and overly plugging the catalog and all the shirts and whatever. And finally, Jim Ross can take no more and just says, all right, enough. So MJF has bet on the Luchadors, and for a long time, Phoenix was in a rough way in this match, and MJF is encouraging them. El Escapo! El Tag Out-O! They did Escapo and Tag Out-O. They continued to win on them for a while. Called out Orange Cassidy. Work over Trent for a long time. Taz remains awesome. We see Pentagon throw these thigh kicks pretty much every match. He's doing like a dozen thigh kicks in this match. They're super loud, super violent, look great. And Taz points out, Trent's got these tights on. You can't see it, but I guarantee under those tights, he's all bruised up. The blood's clotting up in those legs. Taz makes you care about the effect of all these moves. He's awesome. Hey, the Best Friends hot tag. They go to do the hug, but do the elbow bump instead. I love Jim Ross hates this because it's goofy. So Excalibur says, oh, they tried to give the people what they want. And an appalled Jim Ross cries out, there's no people here. We had Orange distracting the Lucha Brothers, did a big dive onto them with his hands in his pockets. But the Lucha Brothers came back. They kicked Trent right in the mouth with a super kick. They foul him, hit him with a foot stomp package pile driver, and win. MJF won his bet and is very happy. This was fun to watch.
I didn't like Orange attacking these men right in front of the referee and the referee doing nothing.
He did his dive with his hands in his pockets off the ramp, and it was hard to see. But if you look in the background as the camera pans over, Trent had the ref.
All right, I'll take your word for it. They definitely had the ref the second time. But anyway, so the elbow bump spot, I got a buddy who he was a former wrestler, not a pro wrestler, an actual wrestler, an amateur wrestler. Shouldn't say an actual wrestler, but anyway, he's a Marine. He's got a Purple Heart. His daughter is a wrestler, and he helps us at the jiu-jitsu school. This was like 3 weeks ago. This was before everything went all to hell. He comes in one day, and he can't even believe what he's just seen. He says, "We're at the wrestling meet today, and they call the kids out to the mat, and they tell them that they can't shake hands. They have to bump elbows." He goes, "So they bump elbows, and then they wrestle."
Yes.
And then they bump elbows again.
Yes.
It's like, dude, I don't know what to tell you, buddy.
I understand the confusion and
Just like-
frustration.
That's the rules.
If handshakes are not safe, you probably should not be wrestling each other either. So, we get a best friends interview. Orange is up there. Chuck is up there. Trent comes walking up to do the interview on the stage. He passes by Tony. Without stopping, he speaks. And over the mic, as he passes by, you hear, "Tony, I got it in the dick."
And then Chuck says, as a direct quote, "Death Triangle, you're a bunch of chumps. You want to kick my friend in the dick when the ref's back is turned? Next Dynamite, we don't need a ref or a ring. I want to meet you guys in a street fight, in an actual street or parking lot." So, I guess, dick is allowed on TNT.
Apparently. They said it twice here in one promo.
It was 1,000 times funnier.
Well,
Chuck had the time of his life. You got to say dick.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. Penelope Ford versus Riho versus Chris Statlander versus Hikaru Shida.
Okay, so I did see the spot that got botched.
Oh, yes.
Dave mentioned yesterday that I somehow did not see. I was probably frantically rewriting what Chuck Taylor said as this match was going on. But anyway, it was an attempted diving Hurricane Rana.
Yeah.
And it went wrong.
It went very wrong.
Yeah, Dave for some reason couldn't figure out what it was. I watched it one time.
Which is funny because the spot is everyone do a Rana.
There's a
And
botch
one of them went wrong.
diving Hurricane Rana.
Yeah. Aside from one terrible, terrible botch, if you like random cool moves, they did random cool moves for like 7 or 8 minutes. Kip Sabian kept interfering and kept getting his ass kicked.
Okay,
in
this
response.
time don't even tell me the ref was distracted.
I don't think so.
He just kept interfering, and the announcers screaming at the guy.
Yes.
I mean, it played into the storyline afterwards to set up another match, but fuck, I was so irritated. This guy keeps interfering, and nobody does anything about it.
Somebody did a dive, and Jim Ross had to point out, it's amazing all 3 of those women were in the spot they needed to be. She's lucky. So eventually, it's Shida and Ford in the ring. Shida hits a Falcon Arrow. Ford kicks out of that. But then Shida follows with a knee strike and gets the win. This match is a blitz of random moves, but with one notable exception, they all looked cool.
That's fine.
And then Tony interviews Colt Cabana. So, this was so awesome. Colt's in the front row. The camera is like behind him, so you're looking at Colt and Tony, and behind them is the ring where Sabian and Ford are coping with their defeat. And Cole admits, this is a very weird situation, but I'm here to have a good time. I'm here to do scouting. They're paying me to sit here. I'm not paying for the seat. That was a great match we just saw. Penelope Ford is amazing, but she'd be a lot better without her boyfriend screwing everything up. Of course, Sabian's right there. So he hears this. He comes over to react and defend himself, telling him to shut his mouth. He gives Colt a little bit of a shove, and Colt does the most violent pie face. It's like a pushing slap. Sabian goes flying. Colt's laughing. I am also a wrestler, he says. Sabian, with his tail between his legs, slinks away. Colt turns back to the camera, totally not bothered, and goes back to plugging the show. This was excellent. Tony Schiavone goes to interview Moxley earlier today. Moxley's still not medically cleared, can't get into the building. First, he's upset. When have I ever been medically cleared in my career, he asks.
I hope most of the time. Otherwise,
More
what the
often
fuck's
than
going
not.
on?
He looks around, decides, we got enough problems. They don't need me punching any cops. I'm going to clear my head and go for a drive. But everyone know, I'm in the inner circle's blind spot. and I wouldn't miss blood and guts for the world. He turns around. I think it's a Lamborghini, but there's a fancy blue sports car.
No, it's the same one that...
Did the Ford GT have gold wing doors?
I don't know, but I think it's Tony Khan's car.
It may be a different Tony Khan car.
Well, it should be the same goddamn car because it should be an ongoing storyline here that he's still driving Jericho's car around.
I think he's got a fleet. He, with great difficulty, climbs into the sports car, shuts the gold wing doors, and drives away. Butcher and Blade versus Jurassic Express. So the bad guys get the heat on Jungle Boy, of course. We go to the break. We come back. MJF, at the top of his lungs, is singing Tarzan Boy by Baltimore. A song that is 10 years older than he is. I was laughing my ass off at this. I don't know the last time I loved a wrestler like I love MJF. He's just amazing.
So apparently you can do a Lambo door conversion on a Ford GT.
Really?
Yep.
Well, maybe that's what they did. Maybe that's what it was the same color. I wasn't paying that much attention, but so Luchasaurus gets the hot tag. His comeback is great.
This is a very involved installation. Not recommended DIY. Okay, well, it's
Duly noted.
good to know. I won't fuck around with my Ford GT.
I will
try
not-
to tear the goddamn doors
I
off
want
myself.
to replace the doors on my $700,000 car.
Yes.
Yes, good to know.
Oh, Jesus. $250,000 to $400,000 per car.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the car. I thought that was just for the doors. Wait. Once we sell, I think that might be just for the fucking doors.
I'm sure it is.
Wow.
Yeah. So Luchasaurus makes his comeback.
You learn something new every day, everyone. Just want to throw that in there.
Luchasaurus makes his comeback. It's awesome. I can't believe that this guy is somehow a guy who looks like this and can do this kind of thing made it through WWE and is not there now. So eventually the Hosses are in the ring. They're wailing on each other. Here's the other thing about an empty arena building. You got to lay these shots in. If you hit a guy and it makes no noise, the crowd will know. So they're wailing on each other.
You know what they'd do with Luchasaurus if he went to WWE? First off, he wouldn't be a fucking dinosaur.
That's true.
I can tell you that much. They'd take his goddamn mask off. They'd make him cut his hair.
That's probably true.
He'd have a stupid name. And he'd be in developmental for 6 years. So, trust me, he's doing all right.
He was there from 2012 to 2014.
Well, he's doing much better now.
Yes. He once teamed with Corey Graves.
Wow.
Yeah. He's doing much better now.
Yeah.
So, as these two monsters are in the ring just drilling each other, Jim Ross asks, are these guys from Idaho? Because, that's where you find potatoes. This joke went over everyone's head. No, they're from Buffalo. So, the Butcher cuts off Jungle Boy. He's going to do something, but MJF leaps to his feet. No! Full death! Hit him with full death! And so they hit him with their finisher, which is called Full Death. But the Jurassic Express cut him off, and they do some combo cutter thing on the Blade and pin him. And Jungle Boy, they do this move, and then Jungle Boy wants to do a dive onto the Butcher to make sure he doesn't break the pin, but the Butcher's down on the floor and doesn't get up.
He forgot.
Okay, I'm glad.
I was afraid that he was hurt.
That was my concern as well.
I thought for sure he was hurt, but it turns out he just forgot he was supposed to take that dive.
I can live with this. So, Jurassic Express win. Another fun match.
Yes, I very much enjoyed this match. Like, it was just fun. It was a great comeback by
Fun
the
TV tag match.
Luchasaurus. The selling by Jungle Boy was great. They're an awesome team. It was just good stuff.
Did we catch the Lucha Underground episode where Vibora was killed off?
I'm not sure if we did or not.
Happened in episode 3, or season 3. On the August 1st, 2018 episode of Lucha Underground, the character of Vibora was killed off via decapitation by a sword-wielding Taya Valkyrie. I feel like I would remember that. They go to commercial with a picture-in-picture.
Let's see if I can find out.
There's nothing to show, so the picture-in-picture is the baby faces of the crowd fucking around. We have a Dark Order promo. Evil Uno, Stu, Silver, and Grayson. It's Grayson, right? No. Stu Grayson.
Stu Grayson.
Silver. Who's the other one? Reynolds? Alex Reynolds, yes. Anyway, these 4 dudes all come out. Evil Uno asks the production crew to focus on his face so he can speak to his people. The Exalted One is here. And all of my cronies are prepared for this wonderful night. They will see what evil Uno sees. He goes on for a while. He does not lie, does not break his promises. He keeps repeating himself until finally Chris Daniels from the crowd begs him to stop. And Daniels and Kazarian get up. Scorpio Sky cannot make it in for whatever. And Daniels grabs the microphone, says, "It's been like this for 3 months straight. I'm sick of your lies. You haven't made Alex Reynolds any better. You haven't made John Silver any better. You've wasted our time. You've wasted the time of the people watching at home. We're all sick of it. There is no Exalted One." And at this point, he is interrupted by a video. And the video begins, and you see a tall, robed figure speaking ominous dialogue. His voice is very heavily distorted. But as the video goes, over the minute or whatever it lasts, the distortion goes away a little bit, gradually, until by the end it's his normal voice. And if you haven't heard, it's Brody Lee, everyone. The former Luke Harper in WWE, who knows to Chris Daniels, "You are very unsafe. All your jokes, all your games, did you think they would go unpunished? You are not the first out of touch old man to not believe in me, but you will be the last. My name is Brody Lee, and I am the Exalted One." We go back to the ring, where Brody Lee has now appeared in the ring behind Daniels and Kazarian. He and his cronies destroy SCU. At one point, he actually teased a Sister Abigail, then released a discus lariat instead, and then they all left.
Yeah, I thought this was awesome.
Yes.
I thought that Brody Lee cut a very good promo. Like, you can't fucking run in Rochester, which was the idea here. He was going to debut in front of his hometown. Place would have just gone batshit crazy. But hey, you can't do that. So they had to make a decision. Do we hold this off, or do we debut the guy? Wow. And right now, they're sticking to storylines because unlike other companies, they've got every single show written out until the next pay-per-view at the end of May.
Yeah.
So they're trying to stick with it the best that they can. And that meant that, yes, Brody Lee and Matt Hardy both had a debut on an empty arena show.
Well,
so, I mean, given what they had, I mean, the video, like, a lot of times they show videos and they pipe in the crowd noise. You obviously don't have to. They didn't do that here. And so the video was a fun reveal. The attack was great because they had, the wrestlers playing fans to freak out about it. You had MJF even selling it like, "Oh man, wow, this place has got a fucking guy now." And at the end of the day, I thought it was good, and we'll see where it goes.
It's very good. The other thing is, you say it's too bad they had to debut in an empty arena show, but who the hell knows when we're not going to have an empty arena show?
That's true.
Screw it. Got to debut him at some point. We go to break. We come back where Tony interviews Jake Roberts and the Murder Hawk, Lance Archer.
The Murder Hawk. Not using that name in WWE.
No, he will not be.
You're not saying everybody dies in WWE.
No. So Tony starts to ask him a question, but Jake interrupts. Says, "He is not here to talk. We lay the gauntlet at your feet, Caesar," he says, referring to Cody. "What do we get in return? Nothing. We don't play games. We came here and told you what we wanted. It's one thing to stay out of harm's way, but to ignore us, that's like spitting in our face. You and your friends are out here bitching like little girls fretting over who's going to prom. Cody, it's time to stand up and meet the man. It wasn't going to be personal, but you've made it personal. You had a chance to meet us straight on. Now we will get your attention." And they left. Then we get a Lance Archer video.
Oh, the greatest.
It's about time. So there's a farm, I guess in Rochester. I don't know, but there's a farm and a ring in the yard of the farm, and the biggest batch of weirdos you ever saw surrounding this ring, hollering, riled up. We're told it's the Murder Hawk Mansion.
Oh, he's got his own mansion. I didn't know that.
This is where Lance Archer calls out all challengers to try or die. And they chant, "Try or die, try or die." There is a little fella in the ring doing the speaking here. I have not confirmed this, but I've had it suggested to me. This is actually Cheatham the Evil Midget from the notorious WCW videos of the 90s. So Lance and Jake arrive. He calls out his challenger. And he shows, clearly, why he is called the Murder Hawk. Because he enjoys murdering people. He just destroys them left and right. It ends with a parade of lariats, a giant pile of bodies. somewhere, I'm not even sure where this was, but there's a picture of Cody Rhodes and a big knife through it. Jake approves of all this. And as they go to leave, one more guy comes up and wants a piece, so Archer slams him onto a car repeatedly. This was awesome. This would have been the first thing I aired if I was debuting Lance Archer in my wrestling promotion.
Yeah, but you know what, Vinny? This is something that we've seen for a long time in AEW. And that is, many times they've debuted somebody or they've shot an angle or whatever, and you wonder why they didn't do more. And another good example would be like when Cody got screwed out of the title by MJF. Like we expected, both guys to cut promos the very next week on television. They did not do that. And fact of the matter is, by the time the next pay-per-view rolled around, it didn't fucking matter. So they're very much about, we're taking our time here. There's no hurry.
That's true.
What is the hurry to have Lance Archer get over with Jake Roberts? It's now been 3 weeks. Jake did a promo. Jake came out with the fella. Now we've got the video. And, now that you've seen the video, who gives a shit that last week he just walked into the crowd and walked away?
Strong point.
That's it.
That's
they're
point.
not in a hurry. They're going to take their time because it's just like the old saying, if you try to get everybody over, nobody's going to be over. If you fucking try to get every single person over on every single show, nobody's going to get over. So every show is dedicated to a different thing. This was a show. It's been 3 shows now. This was the one where they decided to give you the video and get Lance Archer over. And guess what? They fucking got the guy over. He killed a bunch of freaks out in the middle of nowhere.
The Cal State Northridge website, I guess, or newspaper. That's where Luchasaurus got his master's degree. They cover a story on him. Headline reads, Luchasaurus, reptilian anti-hero and CSUN alum, takes the ring. And they're not wrong.
Is he really an anti-hero? It seems to me that he is a hero.
It was a year ago, so I'm not sure where he fit, frankly, at the time.
Huh.
So I wrote here that they plugged matches for next week. Apparently that's not technically true. They just promised whenever the next show is, these are the matches they're going to do. Here's a random one. Wardlow versus Luchasaurus in a lumberjack match. What?
Well,
all right, whatever. The Best Friends versus the Lucha Bros in a parking lot fight. And the Blood and Guts match will go on, even though the Elite will wrestle 5-on-4 because Nick Jackson is still not cleared to travel. Inner Circle versus the Elite. So much fun here. Just fun. The Gun Club is shown in the crowd. I don't think they've ever been on TV before, at least not for long. The Inner Circle comes out, makes their entrance. Jericho comes by himself to do commentary. Sammy grabs a mic because there's no crowd there. So Sammy sings Judas. And at one point, Sammy and MJF and I believe Spears, they're all together, hovering over the mic, singing and jumping down in unison. They're talking, I think it was Excalibur who was talking about Sammy Guevara's singing ability when he says, that guy can wrestle.
God, Sammy was just like, it was so awesome.
Yes.
He grabs the mic, he's singing Jericho's song, MJF is dying, Jericho's on the ramp, he's dying. Like, it was just so good.
So, Jericho's talking about Arn Anderson's got his play sheet. Or, as Jericho says, Arn Anderson with his Waffle House menu. I laughed. Jim Ross laughed. So, the match, technically, is Cody, Matt Jackson, and Hangman Adam Page versus Jake Hager and Proud and Powerful. The announcers, in their own words, are just trying to pop each other. They're just trying to make each other laugh. Ross has some line about Jake Hager and his Jack Donovan tights. That popped Jericho. He laughed. The Elite in this match, they're bickering constantly, but never to the point of not being able to work together. They'll just do a move, and then one guy would go to high five Page, and Page would walk out on him. But they still work together fine. There's the big comeback. Cody throws Ortiz into MJF in the crowd. That gets Wardlow and Arn involved. Jericho encourages Arn to hit him with his notepad. That's not going to work. So, Hangman and Matt work together to suplex Hager. They are now on the same page. The two guys in the Elite with the worst problem is they're working together. But when they go for the Indy Taker with no Nick Jackson there, that gets countered, and Santana rolls up Matt, pins him clean. And Jericho's very happy. Now we have the post-match. I'm very certain this match was supposed to go like 2 minutes longer because they felt a lot of dead air in this post-match.
There was a lot of time there that Jericho
and his crew
went on.
So he's very happy, Jericho is. He announces that he is banning all fans from all AEW events until he says so. We don't need pumpkin-head dipshits chanting for Cody or Omega or Hangman. Points out it's 5-on-4 in Blood and Guts. You guys don't stand a chance. Orders Hager to do some push-ups.
5-on-4 with the man advantage.
With the man advantage,
it's even worse.
Yes. Orders Hager to do some push-ups, and then Guevara climbs on Hager's back, and Jake does one big push-up. Big strong man. Goes on and on. We're going to dominate Blood and Guts. They're going to pay us a lot of money to do it. Sammy starts to hit on Brandy as they're just desperate for something to say here. Finally, a drone flies into the building. And since the building is empty, you can hear this drone. And it flies into the ring, and it lands in the ring. And Matt says, a lot of what you've said, Chris Jericho, is true. We have had our problems tonight. But you're wrong about one thing. We are not outnumbered. It's not the four of us. I made a phone call to a friend that owed me a favor. And piano music starts, and the camera pans all the way back to the other side of the arena, where Matt Hardy, very broken, is in the upper deck doing delete, delete, delete. And they cut back to the inner circle, and these guys are very clearly gotten to. They are disturbed or having to face Matt Hardy and Blood and Guts next week. So there you go.
You know what I loved about it, too, is if you don't watch Being the Elite, if you don't watch the videos that Matt and Nick do, and they had one where they went to the Hardy compound, and they're all buddy-buddy there. I mean, we all should have known, as soon as they did that video, that Matt was not going to be the Exalted One. And, you know, I thought, when I saw it, I thought, it's kind of weird, because, like, you know, they're going to bring him in, but then he's going to be the main bad guy.
In hindsight, it would have been really weird.
I mean, it would be weird, and, you know, I've learned my lesson now. I think part of it stems from, you know, there's a lot of stuff you see in WWE where if they do something on social media, or maybe you'll see something on the network or the website or whatever, where sometimes things don't match up right. Whereas everything they do, if you watch it, it all plays into the storyline. The moment that Matt showed up and Nick and Matt went to Matt Hardy's compound, I mean, immediately everyone should have known this ain't going to be the Exalted One, because Matt's clearly going to be a babyface. He's friends with the Young Bucks. And sure enough, if you watched it, it paid off here. If you didn't watch it, you didn't need to watch it, because Matt explained, I made a call to a friend, and we are not going to be outnumbered. So, yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, there were, you know, I was sad there was no crowd for him. I was sad there was no crowd for Brody Lee. I think Jungle Boy selling in front of a crowd would have been even better. Everybody screaming. But man, top to bottom, I don't even think we need a vote here. I mean, as a show making the most of a bad situation, I mean, this was a home run.
This is the most fun I've had in the past week, I think.
For sure.
This is they.
I was so happy watching this show, and I was fucking depressed yesterday.
Yeah. Yes. They made me happy for 2 hours, and that's all I can ask of them. Enjoy it while you can.
Yeah.
Who knows when they're going to do it again? But hey, we now have confidence they in this wacky environment, at least one time they can put on a very good TV show.
And,
for formal reasons, I vote for AEW.
And as mentioned yesterday, they keep mentioning the next AEW. Nobody knows when it's going to be. Their plan on Wednesday night was that the next live AEW show with live wrestling is coming Wednesday. But at any time, I mean, they may lay the hammer down on flights that are not, what's the word?
I don't even know. Things change by the hour.
Necessary.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can convince anybody that going to AEW to wrestle in a ring is necessary. So the call could change tomorrow. But yes, my vote is for AEW, and that's that. So we're out of time, everybody. I want to thank you all for listening. I'll be back tomorrow with Jim Valley from his...
We did also watch AEW Dynamite March 25th, 2020. The commentary team, very unusual crew here. Tony Schiavone, Cody, and Kenny Omega. We were told shortly into the show there was no JR, no Excalibur, no Taz. They couldn't make the trip, but we were assured they're all doing well.
Yeah, I didn't mention this at all on the Dave show, but I thought that Schiavone and Cody were great on commentary. Now, Cody did go onto some tangents every now and then. Like, he went on the Star Trek tangent there for a while.
You didn't like that, did you?
Well, it wasn't that I didn't like it so much, but, like, he just kept going. And we're talking about Deep Space Nine and on and on and on. And I'm like, there's a fucking match going on, dude. But these things were rare. He was very good because he called it as a wrestler. And he talked about different people's strategies.
Yes.
And he talked about technical aspects of it. And, I don't think that he should be on commentary every week. But I thought on a week where they needed him to stand in, he admitted it. I am a diehard wrestling fan. I mean, he's a diehard wrestling fan that has been a wrestler, that understands wrestling and is well-spoken. And at the end of the day, he did a fucking great job. But I don't need to hear about Star Trek anymore.
So they'd run down the card for the show. Darby Allin versus Kip Sabian. Jake Hager in action. Brody Lee versus QT Marshall. Sammy Guevara versus Kenny Omega for the AAA Mega Championship. Chris Jericho will confront Matt Hardy. And up next, Jimmy Havoc versus Cody. And they announced this, and Cody's at the desk. His match is now, he has to go. And they had a joke with each other. Should I go through the tunnel? I want to go through the tunnel. And he went through the tunnel. We have Cody versus Jimmy Havoc. So last week, they had the crew who did not have matches out in the stands. And I guess they got the kibosh put on that this week. So they had the heels, and actually some of the babyfaces too, were watching in a room backstage. They're still making bets. They're still cheerleading. This should have been on the big screen to have more atmosphere in the building anyway. Because it was an empty arena show like the other one, and there'd be a lot of dead air, frankly. And then they would cut back to this crew or to a picture-in-picture with the folks backstage marking out and cheering and having fun. And it was so much better for that 1 minute. And then they go away and they go back to this environment.
Well, I think that TNT laid down the law and said, we want 10 people in any one spot at any one time. Mm-hmm. Last week they allowed 50. And they clamped it down to 10 this week. And so it's weird because it's like a giant building. So it doesn't seem like it's fair that only 10 people can be inside a 5,000-seat arena or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
But you could put 8 people very close together in a small room backstage because it's less than 10. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, the people in the back, there's no way there was 6 feet in between them.
Oh, no.
But if you put 5 babyfaces on one side of the ring and 5 heels, you could put like 100 feet in between them, and they'd be way safer, and they could be going crazy like they did last week. But the law was laid down, and so this is what they came up with. And it wasn't my thing. I liked it last week, but I thought this was too campy because, they had to be cheering at the screen at the top of their lungs every time they cut to the back. And, I'm sure they got the cue because one time they weren't cheering, but then when the camera went on, they started cheering all of a sudden. It's kind of funny. But, like, I'm supposed to believe that they were cheering nonstop for 2 hours. It's ridiculous. So, I don't know. It wasn't terrible, but I didn't think it was nearly as good as last week. But they had no option, so I can't come down on them.
They did the best they could. So, Cody versus Jimmy Havoc is the opener. I did not realize last week this building is an open-air building. It's got a cover, but if you look to the side at certain angles before it gets totally dark, there's like clouds and stuff going by. That's cool. So they did a lot of chain wrestling. Jimmy offered a handshake. Cody accepted. And then after the handshake, the brawling and the dives and the outside action began. Jericho's out backstage doing cheerleading. He, of course, wants Cody to lose. He just doesn't like Cody. They brawl up by the announce desk. Havoc does some of his own commentary, and they brawl back to the ring, and I forget exactly what happened. I think it was when Cody backdropped Havoc out of the ring onto the ramp, but something happens to Havoc, and Kenny Omega notes, Jimmy Havoc, not one to be known for his athletic prowess. I see. Cody then does the Great Muta style running lariat. We run all the way backstage and then run out and clothesline the guy into the ring. Except when Muta did it, it was on a 50-yard straight line ramp. Cody's got to run upstairs, turn right, go down the tunnel, turn right again. It was so goofy, this running lariat he did. He takes off his weight belt to toss it to the fans, but there's no fans, so he tosses it to Brandy, who catches it and shouts, "Yes!" Tony congratulates Omega on his 6-star tag team match, and in the ring, Cody pins Jimmy Havoc with a reverse superplex and a pair of crossroadses, and they cut to the back where the money's paid off for the bets, and Omega notes, "I'm happy for Billy Gunn."
Apparently, Sean Spears bet on Jimmy Havoc.
Yeah.
Maybe gambling is not your thing, buddy.
To be fair, we don't know what odds he got here.
That's true.
It may have been 2-1 odds or something. So.
Doesn't matter.
The match ends, and then Jake Roberts has a video for Cody. Jake's at his campfire. Says Lance Archer was stomping at the bit to get in the ring with somebody in AEW. AEW was formed back in January to give the people what they wanted, but I've got to argue that. My phone didn't ring, the best mind wrestling's ever had. Lance Archer, his phone didn't ring. You guys saw him in Japan. You saw what he's capable of. But that's the problem. You saw what he did in Japan and you were afraid. Caesar, let us do it. Give us a chance. Bring whoever you want. Bring the old man, Arn Anderson. Bring what's her name. And he makes a lot of jokes about Brandy. Bring us something to sign that says you'll face Lance just once. We'll get done what we want to do. It's up to you, Cody. Trust me. This was awesome.
I love Jake Roberts. He's an unbelievable promo.
God, he's good.
His catchphrase apparently is "trust me," which for Jake Roberts is
perfect.
Like the greatest catchphrase. This was great.
So after the break, Cody is back at the commentary desk. Says his left elbow is going to need a look ski at. Talks about Jake's video. He notes Jake always drops his daggers, gets his daggers in when the things are pre-recorded. He compares Jake to Arn and Tully and just invites Lance Archer to debut next week. So I guess they don't need to sign anything. He'll just be there. Darby Allin does a video. We actually got to hear his voice, which we usually don't, at least not much. He narrated the entire thing. He's talking about how Kip Sabian calls himself super bad. He doesn't know what's so super bad about Kip Sabian. He knows some super bad people. And as he's saying this, he's got masks of Ortiz and Santana and Jake Hager and Sammy Guevara. And finally, he lays them all on a table and lays a Chris Jericho mask on the table. Lights it all on fire and says Sabian is nothing more than a sacrifice for the sins of the inner circle.
Yeah, I thought this was good. I believe that Darby has met some super bad people.
Yes.
More super
point.
bad than Kip Sabian. I did not believe that for a second. So this match here, they had a very good match, I thought. Actually, it was fine. I don't know if I'd say very good. It probably would have been. It would have been a lot better with the crowd.
Amen.
Because Darby does so many crowd-pleasing things. He sells great. Without a crowd, it's kind of just, you're watching these two dudes do a match in their backyard. And for backyarders, it was a good match. So they're going back and forth and et cetera. And Darby finally catches him with the Last Supper, Fuller leg lock into the cradle for the pin. And I thought during this match and during the Cody match and during a lot of other matches on the show, maybe not the Chico Adams match, one thing about AEW is they almost never have the wrong guy win. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
I have nothing against Kip Sabian, but Kip Sabian should not have won this match.
No.
Darby is hotter than Chris Sabian right now, or Kip Sabian. So the right man won. And, Jimmy Havoc, what the hell is Sean Spears thinking? Like, there's no way Cody should be losing to Jimmy Havoc right now. Every now and then, like the closest I can think of lately, where it's like they did a finish that I thought was the wrong finish, and it wasn't even the wrong finish, was the closest they've come to is Jericho and Moxley, because I felt it was not time for Jericho to lose the title. But at the same time, I thought, you know what, this Moxley is hot. Now's the time to put the title on this guy. So really, there was no wrong answer. But I cannot remember the last time they did a match, and it's like, what the fuck did they do that finish for? And I think that all the time watching WWE because they're so committed to doing 50-50.
Yes. I can think of two in like, I believe it's 6 months, maybe more. The AEW's been around now. One is the very first, I think it was the first match they did. Private Party beat the Young Bucks, which they wanted to get the tournament over, and it didn't hurt the Young Bucks in the long run, but it sure was weird at the time. And then there was a match about 2 months in where the Best Friends beat the Lucha Bros. And my justification at the time was, well, Lucha Bros just had a title shot. Maybe the Best Friends are going to be, let's get one title match. But no, they didn't even get that. They did nothing with it. So that was weird in hindsight. But no, your stronger point about how on a typical Raw or SmackDown, you'll see 3 or 4 guys go over when the other guy should have gone over. In this match, for example, Darby Allin's feuding with the Inner Circle. Kip Sabian's feuding with Colt Cabana. Ergo, Darby Allin should go over, and he did.
Yeah.
Cody here. Cody was awesome in this match. This is where he talked about Darby being a counter wrestler. Talked about how his best line, I thought, was when he says, "You can never hit the taunt button because Darby will catch you." He made 100 1980s references. Even Tony Schiavone is pointing out how many 1980s lines he has. And then he could not decide, Cody, if the Last Supper was a Gibson leg lock or a Fuller leg lock. But they're very similar moves anyway. We had a Jake Hager hype video. And then Jake Hager versus Chico Adams. And Brian, I've congratulated you earlier in the show on the success of your book, 100 Things Every WWE Fan Must Do Before They Die. I must congratulate you a second time. You are no longer the whitest Chico ever.
Well, thank you.
This guy is in there. He looked more like Adam than he did look like Chico. He's even got plaid Roddy Piper trunks on him. You know how big plaid is with the Hispanic audience. Actually, plaid flannel, I suppose. Conan's worn that a time or two. Anyway, it's a squash. Jake finishes him with the arm triangle.
What's funny is I am a very white Mexican, but I also happen to marry a very white wife.
You made a Norwegian.
Yeah, she's very blonde.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, Hanalei looks like a little Mexican. It's weird. You don't think so?
And Paisley is very blonde.
Yeah, Paisley does not look like a Mexican.
Paisley has well, she has your face very much.
Well, she does, but like the skin color and
Yes.
her complexion
Yes,
and her hair color.
and her hair is
like
very
Hanalei
blonde.
is like a little half Mexican, but she's not even half. She's a quarter.
Yeah, Hanalei looks like her Aunt Nikki, frankly, so far. Not as much hair yet, but we'll get there. So Jake destroys this guy, finishes him with the arm triangle. And then Jon Moxley comes out to brawl. He drops Jake with a paradigm shift, but as he is celebrating this, Hager grabs him, puts him in an ankle lock. There's a brief scuffle, and it doesn't go anywhere. But they noted here.
They went somewhere all right. They're going to have a title match.
Well, okay, I shouldn't say it went nowhere, but the key here is Jake Hager survived the paradigm shift. That's an important detail. Moxley does a promo afterwards backstage. He's just awesome. "You big, gruesome son of a bitch," he says. "Check your blind spot. I'm cleared. I'm out for blood. You walked away tonight, Jake Hager, but when this is on the line, you're not walking out. You're getting carted out on a stretcher, or I'm going to die trying." This was awesome. We have a recap of Brody Lee's debut, and then a very wacky skit. Dinner with the Exalted One. So the Exalted One has his fancy steak dinner. I believe it's Silvers and Reynolds with the other two dudes at the table.
Yes.
They have their dinner in front of them, but they're just staring at it nervously as the Exalted One cuts into his big, juicy steak. He's talking about strength in numbers. There's a new Dark Order. We do what we want when we want to. We are the lions of AEW. We prey on the weak. Finally, one of them just picks up his knife and fork.
John Silver tries to eat.
Yes. And the Exalted One snaps at him. "Am I done yet? Underlings, you're not allowed to eat until I am done. Get out of here." He throws the guy out of the ring.
He tells Alex Reynolds, "Smarten your boy up, okay?"
Smarten your boy up. And he starts to eat again, but then Alex Reynolds sneezes. And the Exalted One can't take this. He orders him to get out of the room. So, are you telling me this whole thing since day one of AEW has been one long Vince McMahon parody, or at least that's the payoff?
Well, I don't know if that's the payoff, but I mean, it was absolutely a Vince McMahon parody tonight.
It absolutely was. And I guess it was funny once, but I don't need to see this every week.
Well, I don't think you're going to see it every week.
I hope I do not.
I like to learn more about Vince every week, so I'm fine with more of these. I want to know more of his idiosyncrasies. I knew about the sneezing and everything like that. But not getting to eat until he's done eating? That's a new one.
That is psychopathic. Frankly,
He's a crazy, crazy man.
yeah. QT Marshall versus Brody Lee. So Cody on commentary is talking about how great friends he is with QT Marshall. He's his best friend in the wrestling business. And I'm in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, the last time you had a best friend in the wrestling business, he turned on you and cost you every title shot ever. But he's talking about QT
Not
Marshall.
every best friend is an asshole, Vinny.
Apparently. But Cody's track record, not perfect. Then he talks about how great QT looks after his hair replacement surgery.
I didn't hear that one. Wow.
Oh, yes. He's very clear. The same one Brian Urlacher got. There's a couple of NFL players who were, they were cue ball bald in their playing careers. Now 40 and 50, suddenly they have hair. It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. So Cody is talking about how Brody Lee is a great combination of size and agility. And as an example of a large, agile man, he brought up Kevin Nash.
Well, he was large.
He was large. I think what Cody was trying to say, if you go back and watch like Diesel matches, Kevin Nash in no way wrestled like a giant. He was lumbering all over the place. He was running here, running there. Didn't look terribly good doing it, but he did move a lot. I think that's what Cody had in mind. So Lee once again destroyed this guy, and once again he teases Sister Abigail, then lets it go, hits a discus lariat, and wins. And I will say this, as weird as these shows are these days, as the state of the world is in 2020, Brody Lee pinning a guy and staring into the camera in absolute complete silence, that's effective. That works.
I like how Cody's best friend is QT Marshall, but he knows he's going to die.
Yes.
And it's just like, oh, man, he's fucking getting killed here. Oh.
Hey, it's his job, man.
Man, that's a brutal lariat. Ah, he's got pinned.
We all have our roles in this company, Brian.
His friends have been beaten before.
This friend has. They leave him with a mask, a Dark Order mask. And Cody, I forget what he said, but something like, some people should consider joining the Dark Order. Have a recap of Matt Hardy's debut last week.
I thought Cody was going to blow off the idea that his friend would join the Dark Order. Like, if I know QT, he'll never join the Dark Order.
Absolutely not.
And it was like, oh, fuck, well.
He seemed to indicate it was something QT should consider. It may be the best move for his career, to go and not eat steak. Had a recap of Matt Hardy's debut.
Well, if those guys would have just waited, they'd have had the steak.
I suppose so.
They were too greedy.
And too sneezy.
They weren't letting those juices soak in.
Greedy and Sneezy, my two least favorite dwarfs.
Yes.
So Matt vows the inner circle must be broken and deleted. We have a recap of the inner circle taking Nick Jackson.
So they have a shot of him when he had the garage door dropped on his fucking head.
Yes.
And Cody's like, is that the best picture you could find of this?
He's laying down, prone, laid out, helpless, bleeding from the mouth. Yes, that's the best shot they had. So
the more I think about it, the more I want Cody on commentary every week now that I think about it.
He makes a lot of good points. He has a lot of insight. Our West Coast correspondent, Vanguard 1, brings us an update on Nick Jackson from Rancho Cucamonga. And so we get Vanguard's 1 Terminator-style vision. He flies up to the house, zooms into the garage. Nick's in there doing pull-ups. He does a couple of burpees. He realizes
he had the most beautiful burpees I've ever seen. I was in awe. Like, look at how fluid these things are. Holy smokes.
But then he realizes he's being filmed. He stops his beautiful burpees to chase this drone, and the signal is terminated.
Well, he's alive.
He's alive, and he can do pull-ups and burpees so far.
Yes. They said he was at 67%, so man, he must be really good at 100%.
He is.
I guess he is. We know that.
We can confirm this.
Wow. Didn't know he's that much better.
Sammy Guevara versus Kenny Omega for the AAA Mega Championship.
Technically, it's the AAA Super Mega Heavyweight Championship.
I wish they would call it that.
I'm
watching a show with a drone doing correspondence and a guy teleporting the crowd. You can call this the AAA... I'm sorry, Super Mega Heavyweight Championship,
yes.
I believe? Yes.
Make sure heavyweight is 2 words. I'm not kidding.
Oh, I believe you. Yeah. No, it's just the Mega Championship here. So Sammy has artwork in his cheering section. He paid a portraiter or portraitist. He got portraits of Brandy Rhodes, for example, and Jericho and my captain. And there's a captain there in a Star Trek uniform, and Tony and Cody can't figure out which captain it is.
As much as I was pissed off at them for spending so much time talking about Star Trek, the fact that they couldn't figure out who it was, and they just weren't going to give up.
Yes.
It reminded me actually of this show, quite frankly.
It does. Yeah.
We've got to figure out who this fucking captain is.
So they begin to discuss Star Trek and the various shows and the various captains. And Cody asks Tony who his favorite Star Trek captain is. And Tony says, my favorite was Captain Sisko. And Cody is disgusted.
He is disgusted.
He cannot believe that of all the Star Trek captains, Sisko is Tony's favorite. And Tony starts to say, I love Deep Space Nine. Cody says, he was just a commander. He wasn't even a captain until they finally gave him his own ship. So the reason I bring all this up and why it's relevant, Cody was so much more disgusted to hear that Sisko was Tony's favorite Star Trek captain than he was when Sammy Guevara picked up a portrait of Cody's wife, Brandy, and began to French kiss it, sticking his tongue through the portrait. That Cody didn't care about. So the match goes on. It is a long fucking match, 20-plus minutes, 2 commercial breaks. Somewhere in the back, Spears shoves down Billy Gunn and walks out of the room.
Yeah, I never even knew what the hell happened here.
I have no idea.
Like a brawl started, and then we never knew anything more about it.
I have no idea. This match went way too long for the empty arena environment. If you just watch guys do cool moves, they did a bunch of cool moves. They all looked great. Athletically, aerobically, it was fantastic. They start kicking out of J-drillers, and finally Sammy's down in the ring. Kenny's posed to finish him off. Sammy flips in the bird. Kenny laughs at it, hits the V-trigger, and the one-winged angel for the win. Technically, a very good match. I did not need it to go 23 minutes.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue. I thought the match was good, but 23 minutes for a empty arena match is a really long goddamn time. Which, by the way, I mean, if this match was too long for you, this is going to be one fucking long WrestleMania.
Indeed. Indeed. And it is time for our main event segment. The Chris Jericho confrontation of Matt Hardy. So Jericho does his entrance. There's one guy on the floor. It's the cameraman. So Jericho takes the camera to show that guy singing. He's horrible. I think it was Cody who said he's got a face made for radio and a voice made for TV. So Jericho starts speaking. We can hear him, but he doesn't have a mic. They ask if he's got one of them Britney Spears mics. Jericho says there were 2 big debuts last week, one of which was Matt Hardy debuting and pledging his allegiance to the Elite. And he starts talking about the Elite, how arrogant they are. And Cody and Kenny ask, does he not realize we can hear him? Jericho says he has known Matt for 25 years. He wants to give him a chance to make the right decision and join the inner circle. He invites Matt to come on down.
I like how he wants to allow Matt to make the right decision, but he begins his speech by saying, Matt does not realize how stupid he is. So I will give him the opportunity to make the right decision.
Yes, yes. Well, again, Jericho is also a great heel. So Vanguard 1 appears. Jericho proceeds to cut a promo on the drone. Vanguard 1, I don't like what you stand for. I don't like your beliefs. I don't like the way you spout your political views on social media. I think you're a piece of shit, Vanguard 1. But although I don't like you, I respect you. I'm going to ask you to join the inner circle.
Has there ever been a worse recruiter than Chris Jericho?
No. Never.
It's just every time he tries to recruit someone, he has to tell you this person how stupid they are, and they're an idiot, and he hates them.
And a piece of shit.
But damn it, you're a piece of shit, but I want you in my group. What do you think?
So he tries...
It never works.
He tries to entice Vanguard 1. You'll be smoking the finest of mechanical cigars. Vanguard hears him out, but then turns and leaves. And he's flying away. Jericho says, no, fly this way. You come back here, Vanguard. You'll regret this, you son of a bitch. I laughed. So then Matt Hardy appears in the rafters. And if you think this has gone on for a while, we're not even halfway through this segment yet. Now, I heard about this before I saw it. I heard there was teleportation in the empty arena with Matt Hardy. So when I heard about it, what I envisioned would be like he'd appear in the upper deck, then the lights would go out, and then he'd appear at ringside. Then the lights go out, he'd appear somewhere else. No, it's not even that. They show him, there's a wide shot. It's like a shot from the stage. So you see tiny little Chris Jericho in the bottom of the screen. And Matt Hardy's way up in the upper deck. And then he's in the second deck. And then he's somewhere else in the second deck. And then he's in the lower deck. This happens like 4 or 5 times. It's blatantly just a camera cut, and he moves, and he keeps shooting. Now, if you haven't seen this, and you're going to go back and watch it, or if you have seen it and you're going to go back and watch it, don't watch Matt Hardy. Just watch Chris Jericho. Because this would have been so easy to do, which is just like a still shot of him or a separate live feed on him that does not cut. But instead, they just did a camera cut for the whole picture every time. So every time Matt Hardy teleports, Jericho teleports a little bit too. It's so hokey. It's so cheap. It's so low rent. I don't know if this was the intent, but it made me laugh my ass off.
When I first saw Matt Hardy way up in the cheap seats, I also thought like the lights were going to go out and he was going to appear in the ring. So I presumed that it was live. And I was like, these fucking lights are going to be out for a long ass time. Or they found a fake Matt Hardy to be in the rafters, and the lights go out and the real Matt Hardy's in the ring. All of a sudden, bonk, 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 he's fucking teleporting all the way down to the ring. And it was, I'm watching him, I'm watching Jericho, I rewound it a few times. I'm like,
just to make sure it actually happened.
Seriously, what in the absolute fuck am I watching here? Are you kidding me? Like, when I first saw it, I could not believe my eyes. Did I really just see that? Like, this is not on Being the Elite. It's not on some YouTube show that they do.
If this is not from the Hardy compound.
No.
If this had happened on a Ultimate Deletion or whatever, it would have been totally different. This happened on AEW Dynamite.
Yes.
In their arena on what I was told was a live broadcast.
So, when I first saw this, I was like, fuck. Dude, what in the world's going on? Then I thought about it. I've had 24 hours to think about it. Okay? When I first thought about it, I thought, you know what? And as it turns out, by the way, this is why they did it. Because I was told today that I was right, this is why they did it. I thought, you know what? Unless there's another fucking pandemic, there's never going to be another chance to do this. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Last week when they had the drone appear, they could not have done that with fans in the building. Because you're not allowed to fly a drone in a building if there are fans there. So, because there were no fans, they were allowed to do the drone. So, when I thought about it, I was like, okay, like if you're going to do this, you never have a chance to do it again. What the fuck? Who cares?
that is a strong point.
Okay. Then, like, I'm thinking about it more today, and I'm like, as fucking goofy as it was, like, it's funny.
It was, yes.
It was funny.
I promise you it was funny.
It was funny, and, like, I will always remember it.
That's also true.
If we ever go back in 10 years and do NXT versus AEW like we did Raw versus Nitro, like, I'm going to remember it, and I'm going to laugh, and I'm going to love it.
Yes.
It's not something that I'm like, I can never watch AEW again. I can never take this seriously again. If they did fucking magic tricks at a live show every week, I don't want to see this every week. I don't want to see teleportation regularly on this show. If you're going to do magic, as a fan, to me, I need to feel like there's an explanation for what happened. The lights went out, the guy disappeared. Yeah, he was under the fucking ring. He went under the ring. You know what I mean?
Yep.
When WCW did it with the Ultimate Warrior, where Hogan can see his fucking reflection, but he's not there. I mean, this is fucking ridiculous. And, like, the announcers could see it, or they couldn't see it. I can't even remember. It was so hokey and just stupid. But one time when you have the opportunity. You'll never be able to do it again with a live crowd there. What the fuck? Who cares? And they did it, and I laughed. I'm laughing thinking about it right now. It was funny. And, I went online today, and, last night I had a couple people that would text it and email. They were really angry about it. But I went on there today, and everybody's talking about how awesome it was.
Okay, then.
Fuck. If people love it, if it's not hurting anything, then great. Whatever. But don't do it every week.
So Hardy appears in the ring, declares, "Maker of pain, you knew I'd come." And Jericho does not just ignore this teleportation thing. He does not pretend it didn't happen. He does not blow it off. He asks what happened, how did it happen, whatever, and eventually he moves on. He explains to Matt, "You're new here. You should know this is my show. I'm the one you should align yourself with." Matt says the Bucks of Youth were the ones who resurrected broken Matt Hardy. He owed them a debt. He has seen the tyranny of the inner circle. AEW represents freedom. It is his Arcadia. He cannot allow the inner circle to ruin this paradise. So Jericho says, "I understand you're trying to make a name for yourself. I can help you. Look what I've done for everyone else. I made Ortiz. I made Santana. I helped remake Jake Hager. I made Sammy Guevara." Asks Matt to join him again. Matt says, "I may look the same to you, but I have the same vessel, but there's a different entity inside me. Damascus, who is over 3,000 years old and is practically perfect at violence and brutality." Jericho says, "I know inside you're still the same Matt Hardy I've known for 25 years. And Matt says, "Yes, I have known you for 25 years, and you are still the whole of an ass." Which is an absolute brilliant line. Because you can say that on TV whenever you want, because for all we know, you're talking about a donkey.
I don't know if this was on the board or if somebody texted me this, but maybe it was on Twitter, but somebody said that all day today their kid, I guess who was also quarantined, was just watching old wrestling matches on television and screaming at the heels, "You are the whole of an ass!" He said he was so proud. His kid's 7.
All right, so Jericho says, "Matt Hardy, you've been living in the shadow of your brother. You've been living in the shadow of bad booking. You're in the shadow of Le Champion. Are you Inner Circle or are you Elite?" And Matt says, "Delete." And they go back and forth with that for a while until Jericho gets outraged. "There's nobody here. I've banned all the fans. There's no one in these stands to chant your stupid catchphrase." Somebody brings up Judas. Matt claims he knew the real Judas. He betrayed me as well. And he claims the Inner Circle will fade away and classify themselves as obsolete. Sings the old Jeff Hardy song from TNA for a while. Says, "You say this building is empty. I see essences all in these stands. I see Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King, Maximilian." Finally, Jericho could take no more. He just smacks Matt. Matt smacks him back. And Jericho says, "Well, you laid me out, but I got a magic trick too." Abracadabra, Matt Hardy gets his ass kicked. And Sammy Guevara shows up. He jumps Matt from behind. Cody and Kenny quickly make the save with chairs, and they chase Jericho and Sammy away. And Jericho and Sammy are almost barbecued by the pyro, and it ends. And hey, it was different.
Sure as shit was.
They tried something different.
I will say I thought it went too long.
Yes.
But, what can you do? I mean, timing issues. The smaller crew, you had to extend everything out, but
yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the segment. It's just wacky. But what do you expect?
Well,
you wanted broken Matt Hardy in AEW. Well, you got him. You think he's going to be the WWE version? No, he's going to be all in to broken Matt Hardy. So
I hadn't thought of that, but you got a point.
Yeah.
He's going to be more broken than ever.
Yes. So there you go.
It's time to vote.
It is time to vote. You go first.
Ah, you coward. You make me.
I'll do it first. What the hell?
All right.
Hey, listen. I like the AEW show better reviewing it, but I feel, to be fair, I'm going to go with my gut, which is what I thought immediately after the shows were over. I am going to give NXT my vote this week as the better of the two shows.
Yeah, I was having some fun with you there, but I also, when I'm looking back over these, I had more fun watching NXT than I did AEW, and it's a weird situation, and everyone's trying their best to put on the best shows they can, and I thought this week NXT had the better show.
Well, there you go, everybody, and that is it. Next few weeks.